y'all. I'm Madison Walker.
And I'm AJ Risley.
Unfortunately, I'm injured this week, so I won't be playing the Green Mountain Championships.
Me too.
But I'm still here at Smuggler's Notch Resort in the beautiful state of Vermont.
Me too.
And I will be providing on-course commentary for the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
And I'm going to Disneyland.
Wait, what?
Yeah, for the Christmas Day Parade.
But I thought you were gonna be here.
This weekend, I'll be providing on-course commentary for the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
And me too.
Really? Madison will be walking with the FPO lead card.
And AJ will be walking with the MPO lead card.
So be sure to tune in at 9 a.m. Eastern on Friday for the FPO lead card and 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday for the MPO lead card.
Wait, aren't they already watching?
Oh yeah. Thanks for watching.
Hey, can I get a flight tray?
Sure.
Flight's ready.
The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
This is the Pro Tour.
Hey, I'm Nate Doss, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Ricky Wysocki, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Paul McBeth, and this is the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am Kale Laviska. Dustin Keegan. I'm Big Germ, and this is the Pro Tour.
Say it better like you, say it more like you.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Sarah Holcomb, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Eric McCabe, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am the Pro Tour.
I'm Will Schusterick, and this is the Pro Tour.
How's that cheese? Oh, this is gonna be good.
We would appreciate it. That said, we're ready to tee off, so I'm going to turn it over to our starter, Chris Mahon.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, welcome everybody to the second round of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship, hosted by Smuggler's Notch and presented by GripEq. This is our lead card, 2:30 start. We're competing today on the Fox Run Meadows course. First in the box, from Limestone, Tennessee, our current leader at -11, Chris Dickerson. Up in the box, with 111 professional wins in his career, 5-time and current world champion, Paul McBeth. Next up, Joining us from Gray, Tennessee, the lefty with a laugh, Zach Melton. Rounding out this awesome foursome from Wyoming, Texas. Let's give it up for Nate Perkins.
Close.
Good luck, everybody out there, gentlemen.
What happened to Italy? Why did you get 2 states and we all got 1?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Disc Golf Pro Tour's coverage of the 2019 Green Mountain Championship. My name's AJ. Some sideline commentary for you guys throughout this second round. As you can see, it's a beautiful day behind me. It's actually a little sunny, a little warm. We do have a lot of wind out here, so we'll see if that can help the players stay in bounds. It might push them out of bounds. Let's go follow the action.
Today, we'll be talking about the Nuke. The Nuke is a wide-rimmed, fast, maximum distance driver. When throwing on a wide-open course with the Nuke, I'm using it to unleash maximum backhand distance potential. Due to its slim profile and wide rim, the Nuke also fits really well in the hand when throwing sidearms. If I'm looking to throw down some boom sauce, I'm going with the Nuke. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
Chris, they're still watching.
And good afternoon, everyone. We are with the lead card men's open at the Discraft Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. Players are now on to hole 2. And if you were tuning into the action, we see just like that, Paul McBeth gets the top of the box with the only birdie on hole 1. Chris Dickerson, who was leading the pack at the beginning of the round, double bogeyed with 2 pars by Zach Melton, who's on the tee right now, and Nate Perkins. I'm Valarie Jenkins. Joined with me today is my co-host, 3-time men's world champion, Nate Doss.
Hey everybody, good to be heard here. We were dealing with just some IT problems on our end, and boy, the internet's one of those funny things sometimes. But here we are, Nate Perkins, and yeah, as you said, Chris having a very difficult first hole there. And it's funny when they teed off, the pack was charging. Simon Lizotte is 5 under or 4 under par through 4 holes. It's going to be a day to watch some U-Disc live. There's a lot of change between the course that they played yesterday and the course that they're playing today, and we'll keep an eye on it all day long.
There we go. Chris Dickerson off the tee pad. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to catch up with them in the fairway.
Today, we're talking about the Undertaker. The Undertaker is a fairway driver, and for advanced players, it will be pretty straight, but for the newer player, it'll be a good first control driver. For me, the Undertaker is the perfect point-and-shoot fairway driver, both in the woods and out in the open. If I'm throwing at a target that's straight ahead, I'm going with the Undertaker every time. It's just really straight. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
And here we are back on 2's fairway with Chris Dickerson. Hole 1 starts off par 4, kind of tough. Hole 2, it's a gotta get for this group. And starting off with these 2 short drives, they're off to a rough start.
I mean, you can say whatever you'd like, and we see Dickerson actually almost fly it in the basket there. He's gonna have a little bit of a putt. You can say what you'd like about any one of these holes, but if we just look down the field of players that have played the first 6, 8 holes, all of them are either 4, 5, 6, 7 under ish. It's pretty incredible how the players have been playing up to this point. And so you got to get on that birdie train early.
Ooh, a little bit of metal there for Zach. A little bit higher. That would have been a cashing in birdie. And if you're not tuned in on UDIS Live right now, you need to get over there. There is so much that's jumping around. We were looking down the entire list of all the players, and it was seeming to be about down to tie for 38. That player could easily jump up in today's round. So we're going to see so much movement happening. It was so stacked after yesterday's round at Brewster Ridge. So many players just within a few strokes of each other. And today it's all about who can start it off hot and who can minimize the errors. We're here at Fox Run Meadows. It's an incredibly challenging course, especially when the wind picking up, but it's a lot of OBs.
Yeah, a lot of OBs. We have some breeze today. Perkins unable to get that up and in. Nate, really one of the fan favorites. Everybody loves Nate, the percolator Perkins. I like to call him percolator. But anyways, that's because he likes coffee, right? So at any rate, it is. It's a day where there's a lot of OB. It's really kind of a birdie or die kind of course, though. I mean, you still have to stay aggressive. Our lead rounds, our lead scores today, even with the breeze, are going to be well on par, and you got to stay on that train. It's just that type of course, and I can only say that based on the scores we're seeing up to this point. It's incredible how many guys are racing up that board. Chris able to tap that in. Chris had a big roll away on hole 1. We were hearing, we didn't actually see it, and but yeah, Chris taking a big roll away there on the first hole, taking a double bogey. I'll tell you, 1 or 2 strokes, you go from 8th to 16th. There's an 8-way tie for 8. So it's yeah, things could things could happen pretty quick on a day like today. Well, let's take a look at hole 3 as McBeth just tapped in there for his par, and here we have hole 3, 285 feet up and over the hill. Really, the big challenge here is to avoid any one of these early trees, because if you hit them, you kick right, you're OB. If you leave yourself short, there's a lot of tricky little lines to try to get up and through. I will say this, though, even though this hole's fairly tricky, it's another one of those types of holes where you kind of got to get it. It's a difficult hole if you get caught up short, but if you get through, you're going to have a nice look for birdie on this one at just 285 feet. Actually, I think for the men, it's a little longer than that, but let's see. I guess it says 285. Oh, 305. That's right. So 305 feet for our players. They're just playing a tee pad that's just a little bit ways back from there.
The one thing here I think is need control. You're trying to punch it up this hill, but then getting enough control on it and knowing how to slow down near the basket to stop up on that ridge. See McBeth finishing off to the left-hand side. He's going to have about a 20-foot putt. Again, drop off behind the basket, making every putt that lands just every drive that lands a little bit short, make a very risky putt.
Yeah, and there's OB behind the basket by not very far, just 20 feet, 25 feet past the pin, you're OB. And this looks like a beautiful line for Meltron. Zach Meltron. The nicknames for the guys today. I picked one for Dickerson, but we don't see Chris play a lot. I mean, he's a great player. He gets a lot of wins, sticks around the Tennessee, sort of that southern area down there, and is definitely one of the best players in that region. So it's nice to see Chris come out up here to Vermont and pick up an early lead in the tournament. And we'll see if he's able to kind of work his way back into the fold here. But a lot of dogs running at this point. If you're not running, you're going to get left behind. That's just kind of the name of the game at this point.
There's Nate leaving it a little bit low. We'll see how that finishes up after this quick break.
Okay, huge news, guys. The new DGA Rift has so much glide that it just broke the national MTA record by 37 hours. Go get one for yourself at discgolf.com.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
Here we are back on hole 3, looking from behind the basket, looking back down the fairway. I'm going to run over to see Chris's shot.
Yeah, Chris got caught up here on this right side. He's going to have just a little chip sidearm. Again, all about speed control. Well, there he is. Okay, so he's hit a couple of trees, but he's stuck close enough to the basket. That should be an easy save for him. Nate Perkins is also left short. It looks like he's got just like a jump pitch up to the basket, and he's done that, executed that very nicely. We also saw McBeth's drive have a little bit too much stability, working his way up into the left side of the fairway. We'll see if he's able to find a look at a possible run.
And this is the most wide open putt of the group so far. You can see the flag for the circle's edge just on the left-hand side of the screen there, that orange flag.
Yeah, Val, and I think that all the orange flags our people at home are going to see is the edge of circle 2. Circle 1 is painted with paint, so we don't have flags at that. And so use those flags as a reference at home. Wow, and of course McBeth gives it a run from everywhere, hitting off just front cage there. Really no harm, no foul. It could have been a lot worse, could have been a lot better. Nothing too much to worry about there. It's a very makeable putt for Zach.
Great view of just that downward slope past the basket. Very risky. Eyes on the prize here for Zach.
Oh, it's got to sit. And he got caught up. Ooh, it looks like he was just near. It's really tough to tell from the angle our camera looked at, but he went down towards the OB. We'll get a look here in just a second.
And it's fast.
It's super quick.
You can see just how much it slopes past the basket.
Yep.
And gravity pulling it down there.
So Zach's definitely gone out of bounds. You could hear him asking, are you guys good with this? And boy, so quick from birdie to possibly double bogey. This morning we saw Tristan Tatar make a putt from this exact point. But look at what he's dealing with. He's got those 2 trees to navigate between them. Zach hitting the first tree. He's going to still be out at this point. This just goes to show you how quickly things can change, especially with how stacked up everybody is. All of a sudden, Zach's going to drop into somewhere around 20th place. With that double bogey, is going to drop him to 7 under, which at this point is a tie for 18th place. So, man, just like that, you're gone.
That's incredible. That just shows you just how competitive this field is.
Mm-hmm.
In a matter of, what was that, 5 minutes?
Yeah, not even that. I mean, we've been on air for this point 26 minutes, but just in the last few minutes, he just went. Could have been tied for second. Now he's tied for 18th. There we go. Just a bunch of tap-ins for pars, and the boys have a long walk up to the next hole. So we'll take a quick look at what hole 4 is going to have for us. Then we'll get a top 10 leaderboard. Oh, we're going to check in with AJ Risley here.
Okay, so that was it, hole 3. Fun fact, Paul McBeth got a 3 on that one, and that was the first time since 2016 that he did not birdie hole 3 out here at the Fox Run Meadows course. In 2017, he birdied it before he unfortunately had to DNF. In 2018, he birdied it all 3 rounds during the World Championships. Speaking of the World Championships, Nate Perkins, first in fairway hits last year out here in Vermont. Unfortunately, 145th in Circle 1 X putts, 167th in Circle 2 putts, but of his 21 Circle 2 putts that he attempted last year, all 3 that he made were right here on the Fox Run Meadows course. Let's see if he can pick up a few more today. Back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, big thanks to AJ. Wow, he's put some time in. Yeah,
I love that.
I mean, we looked through the stats, but AJ really went back and has gone through the stats really in depth. I mean, that says a lot about Nate Perkins. He obviously is good tee to green here, but his putting was just horrendous last year. I mean, when you're that far down, I mean, you're saying 180th. I mean, that's roughly like last. There's barely 180 players in the tournament, so. We'll see if Nate can pick that up, but that's kind of Nate's thing. Putting has always been his sort of downfall or what's brought him up the field.
And that's so frustrating. I mean, there's so much work that gets put into making yourself all the way down the fairway. Nice drives, good upshots, but when you can't capitalize on putting, it's the breaker. That's the breaking point, and that's so frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. And Johnny, if you could bring up that top 10 leaderboard, it'd be great to just kind of get a view for everybody at home. Again, if you're not on UDisc Live, please pull it up. Pull it up, because we're going to be referencing it all day long. This is just the second round of a 4-round tournament, very highly competitive, condensed round. People are wanting to win this, and look at that. Simon Lizotte, 6 under par through 6 holes. Chris Clemens, 5 through 6. Albert, what do we call him? The bazooka man, at 6 down through 10. So, man, just incredible. I love it. This is the fun part of this whole thing.
And the best part is watching those arrows, seeing people move up or move down the leaderboard, and that's going to happen all day long. Albert Tim, 19 places he's moved today to get himself into that 3rd position. So it's so impressive, and just like that, things are just flip-flopping, and
yeah, this is now the hot scores on the course. You can see Lizotte's only played 6 holes. He's got the 2nd hot score. He's the leader of the tournament. Wysocki up 41 places. Interesting.
Making a move today.
Yeah, if you look at Wysoki's scorecard, he has 2 scores missing. So we don't know what he got on 3, and we don't know what he got on 5. So it's sort of an unofficial score at this point, because Wysocki only has 3 holes to play. So we'll see. We'll get that updated and see where he finishes. But either way, it seems like he's going to be up there after today. And, if he can shoot a good round tomorrow, you got to remember this tournament's only been held 5 times, I believe. Wysocki's won 4 of the 5.
Right. He is the name we got to keep watching because he plays so well out here.
Yeah, he really
Get
does.
him in the woods. Yesterday clearly wasn't his day.
No.
Get him out in the woods. He's a very technical player, but today he's making a move out here in the open.
Right.
So you got to be a really well-balanced player playing well in all conditions.
Right. And we'll reach out to the guys at UDisc and see if we can't reach out to the scorekeeper for Wysocki's group. Ooh, McBeth hit a branch. Did he continue to battle? And yes, he did. We saw the spotter with a green flag. So McBeth is inbounds. I think you're going to see all of our players today here on hole 4 play over to the right side of the fairway, which is a big sort of open field with one massive bush. That bush you see is pretty much right over Dickerson's right shoulder at this point. So using that as a visual reference, and then from there it'll be a sidearm or a turnover in. Wait, Dickerson playing to try to get back to the middle fairway. I believe he's going to be out of bounds. So that's just a miss release point for Chris. That's a big mistake. It's a good sized fairway out to that right side.
The scariest part of that is where he's going to take his next shot from, where he was last in bounds.
Now you can see kind of Perkins able to twist one up there. And we'll see him landing just to the left of that big bush. He's going to have a beautiful line. Perkins has, I would say, a quality both backhand and sidearm. So he can play both sides pretty well. Probably not the best at either, but he's up near the top in both. So it's a good, it's a good balance there. Of course, we'll see how the course plays for a lefty as well with Zach. Zach's got that on a very nice line, straightening out. Got it up there, just past the big bush. And so we're going to take a break and we'll catch up here in just a second.
And no, this isn't a live motion photograph. This is real life here in the Green Mountains at Smuggler's Notch Resort. Some of the best views that we get to see playing a disc golf course. It's such a special place. But it was the look at hole 4's basket that our lead card will be throwing their second shots to. And it looks like Paul McBeth is first to throw his upshot.
Yeah, and McBeth hit that early branch, leaving him pretty far back. So he's going to have a much longer shot than he practiced. And of course, he's able to execute that with some good precision, going to give himself about an 18-foot putt. And that's one of the things when we get out here in the open, you're going to have to make the adjustment. We're going to see wins that maybe the players aren't all that used to. Maybe they didn't see it in the practice round. Maybe they did. And we saw with the women this morning, they seemingly were not really ready for it to be that windy. And so it's all about making the adjustment. Early on, we're seeing some sort of, I would say, okay play, kind of bad play from some of the players here in our group. So they're going to have to make the adjustment very, very quickly and turn this thing around.
I think this is a fortunate lie for Chris. He did clear the inbounds on that second island, giving him that placement. I have about a 20-footer there. Yeah, you can see the wind now blowing the flag, so a little bit of tailwind. And this seemed to be the prevalent wind for the women's round. A lot of these holes, we're going to be keeping an eye on the wind, especially with when the OB really comes into play and really tightens up on these fairways.
Mm-hmm.
Just understanding the wind and really focusing on the angle that you're throwing. This is a great drive.
Yeah, he's put himself in this is, I mean, for a backhanded player, this is just about a 200-foot hyzer at this point for Zach. Just a chip, put it on an angle, let it carry right over to that pin, and he's done that nicely as well. He's going to have a look at birdie. One of the more birdieable par fours out here, hole number 4, plays pretty easy ultimately. If you put the inbounds, you're going to most likely give yourself a look, especially with this very generous landing zone here on the right side of the fairway. And there's that sidearm I referred to. Nate putting it a little bit long, hitting some of those rocks, so he's going to have a putt to make there. But ultimately, we'll have 3 birdie putts and 1 par look. But man, Lazat coming out firing. Boy, 6 under par through 6 holes. He's 14 down for the tournament. And Albert Tam just picked up another birdie. So -7 now for the round for Albert through 11 holes. It'll be fun. We'll see if Albert can make it up into one of our featured cards, because I'd be really interested to do some commentary on a guy like that that's coming out of Europe playing extremely well, coming off of a great performance at the European Open.
Incredible. And it's nice to see a good mix of names that we don't necessarily see at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Chris Clemens also shooting very well. He just missed hole 4, but otherwise all birdies. He did get a par in hole 4, so he's shooting 5 under now through 6 holes. So I believe he's in the same group as Simon, so they're kind of neck and neck and probably pushing each other each and every hole. So great to see those amazing scores coming in.
Yeah, boy, just look at the view. I said it this morning, you find a better place, it's prettier to play disc golf. I'd love to see it, because this is one of our favorites on tour. Nate able to just swing one in there. So off of the fun fact from our on-course commentator, AJ Risley, Nate able to cash in one of those putts into a little bit of a headwind. And McBeth able to tap in there for his birdie.
Now Chris, the only one in the group who will be putting from par after going out of bounds on his drive. The wind has died. If that's not a good moment to putt, you better hurry up. And there it is, picking back up again. Those little bit of lulls.
Right.
Isn't it funny how you kind of change up your routine? Oh, I better putt really quick.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there we go. Zach Melton tosses in his birdie putt, giving the crowd a little bit of love as well. And we're moving on to hole 5.
Yeah, so let's take a look at hole 5. A big downhill hole, 445 feet. It's a par 3. Really, all the players, I don't know, we'll see how Zach attacks this, but all the right-handed players pretty much are forced to go for this hole. I very rarely see any players of this caliber lay it up in really any conditions. It's a big hyzer. There's the sort of a stand of trees on the right that you have to try to avoid. But really the trick here is picking the wind. And we saw it this morning. The wind is going to be coming from their left across, which actually I find to be a little bit easier for the players to try to play with is a left to right wind on this one. The wind's going to hold them up, keep them down below the flat that heads into the lake where the basket's located. You can see it right there. So it's one of those holes that it can be difficult. I mean, it's like any of these. It's tough to do these hole previews because, of course, we're going to see some birdies, but also you can real quickly see an OB, then you're in a bad position, then you see a double bogey, boom, you drop 20 places.
We were able to catch up with Sarah Hokum after her round this morning, and I thought she had a really good tip of advice for playing this course with so much out of bounds. Knowing that you're likely to be close out of bounds, if not going out of bounds, but choosing where, making sure you're really taking a big chunk out of that shot. So you're not taking your second shot from very short. So making sure you're going out of bounds if you're going to go way up there.
And that stand of trees McBeth just swung inside of right there is exactly the shot. And look at that. Oh, it needs to sit. And it has, but 445 feet downhill with a crosswind. He's just chipping up to the pin. Incredible accuracy. This is a very difficult hole, but again, a lot of our players at the upper levels birdie this hole. It gets birdied quite a bit. Perkins has got that out to the right. He's got to avoid those trees right there. Those trees are OB. Oh, and it looked like he snuck through. Spotter's running over there. And I think the backside of that board's red, so he was OB. And those trees are exactly the ones we're talking about trying to avoid.
And as soon as Nate released that, I was just on such a flat angle. And it didn't seem to break from that line. It was on the entire way. Straight at those trees. But here's a different look. We've got lefty Zach Melton taking it wide over the lake.
Yeah, this is almost like a different hole for Zach, and that is incredible. That is some incredible accuracy, able to spike it on that just 15-foot wide walkway. Like I said, I mean, this is almost a completely different hole for the way he's playing it. Left to right wind. He's got to play a massive hyzer. Plays it like a fiddle. Nice shot there by Zach.
And even for him, he's kind of got that backup zone down that little gully right of the basket. So even if he throws it a little too high, he's still going to be pretty safe on this one.
And here's Chris. Chris, not one of the bigger throwers on tour. But he's great in the woods, ton of accuracy. Look at that, able to throw that downhill spike hyzer beautifully. And we'll take a quick break. We'll catch up with him in the green.
Can I list off every DGA disc in just 10 seconds? Well, yeah, of course I can. I can talk fast. I'm good at planning ahead. You're running out of time. Okay, well, that's not helping. All right, number one.
back just in time to see Nate Perkins throwing his second shot after going OOB off of the tee, but lands it very nicely. He's going to have a drop in there for a bogey.
Yeah, Nate was forced to take that way back as he never crossed inbounds as he fought through those trees and branches over there on the left side of the screen for the viewers at home. And so it was a pretty nice little upshot there for him because he was pretty far back.
It was great. He still had the trees to contend with on the left and the right-hand side, creating that tunnel. Of course, you're always thinking about the wind on those longer upshots, making sure you can get it close to the basket. And everybody else is in putting range. It's all about the putts now for this group. Well, McBeth got a little bit of a roll at the bottom of that gully. It's a pretty good view to see how extreme that slope is. Hitting that, coming in on a drive, it's going to usually result in a roll. See if he can save this one. And right in the heart, as expected.
Yeah,
capitalizes on that birdie.
I mean, just 2 weekends ago, we saw a performance for the ages, really, from McBeth, along with Garrett Gerthy, just putting on an absolute show at the MVP Open. McBeth kind of picking up where he left off, and he did play this last weekend up in Canada. And Nate Sexton was actually able to take him down. They're former traveling partners and still good friends. So I'm sure that was a lot of fun for those two guys. Nate playing really well. I think he back-to-back Canadian Nationals champion for Sexton. So congrats to Nate.
And speaking of the MVP Open, the putting is what it really came down to. They were just unable to hit that putt for Chris, but so many putts. These guys were lined up with out of bounds immediately past the basket, the heaviest pressure weighing on their shoulders, and they're able to hit these putts. And so that builds your confidence so much, and so incredible to see. I think we were all living vicariously through each and every one of those putts as if we were making them ourselves. But sometimes those are the only putts you can think about in your dreams.
Yeah, right. I mean, looking back at it, the putt he made on 15, then the putt he made on 17, just incredible stuff. And so we'll see if he's able to continue doing that here this weekend. And actually, as AJ mentioned in his fun facts, McBeth did have to pull out of the last GMC. I'll never forget. I was actually on the 11th tee, and Paul said, "Hey man, I got to stop." He had an injury, and the whole group was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" He ended up being okay, but he just had to pull out of that one. Here we are, hole 6, back up that same hill. You can see the previous tee pad there on the left. It's really just a sidearm, a 290-foot sidearm. If you have it. I mean, I threw a sidearm on this, which should tell you everything you need to know. But we will see some of the players throw a backhand, and it is gettable with a backhand as well. But ultimately, I think the sidearm is the better play. Of course, as every hole out here on this course at Fox Run is surrounded by OB, so kind of just got to hit your line and get it on up there. Really, everything is about height. If you put it too low, probably not going to have enough time to swing back up. If you get it too high, you might go a little bit too much hyzer and go OB on the right side.
Yeah, it's a technical little shot. Just because it does have that elevation, you are working your way up the hill. And so, yeah, I think height has a lot to do with it, because that can get you in trouble if you err on either side. There's not a lot of room for error. Sidearm's great, but also lefty backhand. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, I got to remember we have a lefty. So yeah, Zach'll have the opportunity to have a nice backhand hyzer here. Since this hole is in the exact inverse of the previous hole, the wind is coming off of their right. McBeth's got good height on that. Able to swing it just back in bounds by about 15 feet. And he's going to have about a 20-foot putt. Can't say it enough how impressive that last drive by Zach Melton was. That was amazing.
That's a nice angle, immediately releasing. Oh, but hits a little bit too sharp, so wasn't able to get the skip toward the basket, but checks up right there, just outside McBeth's drive.
I think this officially makes it a sidearm hole. I guarantee we're going to see Nate Perkins throw a sidearm. So here we see Chris. Got a little bit wide, but the height is enough to bring him back. And you can see, folks at home, if he was just about 5 feet lower, he's not going to have enough time to swing back to the right. So that height is really key because this hole plays uphill the entire way. Well, Nate's got good height on this one, but not enough juice. We'll take a quick break, catch up on the green.
The only player on the right-hand side of the fairway, Nate Perkins, just squeaking it in bounds. Ooh, that was a good run, nice and flat. Not able to cash any medal. You can see the other three players are grouped up within about 5 feet of each other.
Yeah, putting contest. Little putting contest here. We're just up the hill from where they're standing. The wind is blowing insanely hard, but right here at the basket, almost completely dead, just a little bit of a breeze.
All right, there we go. Zach Melton sets the bar in this putting contest. We're just going to keep moving closer to the basket, though.
And the one we knew probably would go in, McBeth, able to get his birdie as well. That's going to move him into a tie for the lead as Simon Lizotte has bogeyed hole number 7. Dropped down to 13 under par. Still does not have a par on the day. And Dickerson able to tap in as well. Chris hasn't had the best start. But really with a course like this, if he can pick it up, he's not too far behind, just 3 strokes back of our lead. You have to remember, Chris started as the outright leader after one round. Nate able to tap in. And that's all of our players. And so we're going to we see AJ just moving on in there. Bring us some fun facts, AJ.
All right, guys, we're back here. We just finished hole 6 out here at Fox Run Meadows. On the previous hole, hole 5, you guys just witnessed history. For the first time in his career, Chris Dickerson landed his drive inbounds on hole 5. Also, speaking of guys from Tennessee, Zach Melton, good segue. Zach Melton is heading over to hole 7. Last year at the World Championships, he played hole 7 3 times, birdied it all 3 times. So let's see if he can keep up the trend. Back to you guys in the booth.
Man.
I like it.
I
like it.
Yeah. I mean, those are incredible things. Yeah. Witnessing history. I love those kind of things, especially for players that have played tournaments year after year, and you kind of you get into that routine. You know from experience and what you did in the previous years, and to get in bounds on a hole, that's a huge accomplishment for some players. It's like, oh, finally. I mean, that's kind of like a breakthrough.
Right. I'm imagining Chris has only played here just at the Worlds last year. That would be an interesting statistic, right? Because at that point, he's only played it 3 times. He missed it all 3 times. I mean, there's nothing, but he's remembering that. There's no doubt. I mean, especially if it was just from last year. So good for Chris. He wasn't able to tap in the putt there. You know, he missed that birdie putt, but at least it's in bounds. Better than probably what was going on before. Let's take a look at hole number 7.
Let's take a look.
It's just an absolutely breathtaking hole. It's over 1,000 feet, and it's 1,225 feet, I believe. 1,225 is our distance, and one of the reasons that Zach Melton has birdied it so much is that it really does play very well for a left-handed player. That whole right side, as we were going down the fairway, those trees really don't allow a right-handed player to throw a big backhand, but the whole left side is wide open. This tee shot you're seeing McBeth execute right now is rough. I mean, he's executed it absolutely perfectly. Is roughly a 400-foot shot that you're landing in a area about 50 feet wide. But it's not just a pure hyzer. You kind of have to kind of thread the needle there. On the other hand, Zach Melton's going to be able to throw 3 backhand hyzers here, and if he's able to keep them in bounds, birdie is definitely a big possibility.
And as AJ said, birdies were something that Zach had been racking up at the Worlds. And this does lay out so nicely, and using that wind, get a little bit more push. And the nice thing is you can just, as long as you hit that perfect angle, you're going to spike in like that, and it's not going to carry too far. So off to a great start for Zach Melton. And have to give a shout out as we see Savage Ultimate sponsoring hole 7 here at Fox Meadows, as well as every hole 7 throughout the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So huge thank you to Savage Ultimate for supporting the tour and the players and the live coverage. We see an interesting play. Chris Dickerson lays up.
Yeah, you could see the spotter confused. He thought he just made a horrible shot. Chris was actually playing it as a layup. Nate Perkins has executed that wonderfully. We'll take a quick break and check in with Chris Dickerson here in just a minute.
Spectacular views like these and championship level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and more. Featuring live music from Zach Nugent and Blues for Breakfast. Also the 2019 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
And that was a pretty fun preview of all the fun things going on this weekend here at Smuggler's Notch Resort. You know, they've got the Fall Fest happening all weekend long. Beer, food carts, vendors, and of course, live music. And here's Chris Dickerson from his second shot. After being the only one choosing to lay up, knowing his game, I'm sure practicing that in his practice rounds. He's safe for the 2 shots he's thrown so far. So off to a good start on this game plan.
Yeah, you could tell if you lay up off the tee, there's really no way to birdie this hole. It's just too many feet to try to capture back. You got 1,225 feet of land to cover. If you're throwing only 300 feet off the tee, I mean, it still leaves you with 900 feet to throw in 2 shots. It's highly unlikely. And you can see even the next shot he threw, a very overstable disc just kind of playing down in the middle. So,
and if you could throw that 900-foot shot in 2 throws, you should have went for the first tee shot to begin with, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, it's definitely a game plan, not one that we're going to see most of our players actually trying to execute, but you know, he's got to do what he's got to do.
And just in perfect position in the middle of the fairway. See Nate Perkins holding it off to the right-hand side, but allowing that disc to come in. It's going to be a little bit more tucked on the right-hand side, but working his way down that fairway.
Yeah, well, I think now with the position that he's in, I'm really thinking a sidearm is imminent for him, as I love coming into this basket with a sidearm. It's a better angle. You got all that space out to the left. You can throw a more overstable disc to control that distance a little better.
Exactly. And with those trees tucking up on the right-hand side, it really makes it hard to throw anything out to the right. You got lots of space, as we can see on the left-hand side. A lot of room for the disc to fly. Let's see the second card, perhaps, in the distance?
Yeah, yep, that's the next hole coming up, hole number 8.
So they do kind of run parallel to each other. So we might see a little bit of a wait here, but it's a good time to talk about some scores coming in. We saw Simon was kind of stopped his run of birdies with a double, with a bogey,
single bogey.
bogey.
Now he's in that group right there, so we'll get to see what he's done here in just a few minutes. But yeah, Zach, I mean, you can see, look, there's not a single tree. This is a field that they would probably graze cattle on back in the day, and so, I mean, Zach able to just execute a big, huge hyzer. He's going to have a very short shot. There's just nothing in his way. Let's see what McBeth hears. I'm still anticipating a big backhand for McBeth on his second shot, but we'll see. That all depends on the wind, I think, ultimately. No, we're going to see the sidearm or the backhand. He's got 2 discs in his hand.
It's a pretty safe call there. You know, we're going to see the sidearm.
Well, I'm
or maybe an overhand.
Well, with the drive that he threw, oh, look at this. Bonus coverage. Ooh, Lizotte just kicking out on the left side, unable to tap that in. And that putt was for bogey. So seems a bit as if the birdie train has come to a screeching halt for Lizotte. McBeth throwing the big sidearm.
Was that Lizotte has yet to get a par.
Right. And now he's got back-to-back. He's got a bogey, now a double bogey. These guys making, really Melton and McBeth making this whole scene very casual. And the one reason it's playing so casually is that it's a big tailwind. You know, they don't really have to worry about the disc flipping over or, you know, doing any of that stuff.
And shout out to DGA with their new Mach 7 basket. They are the sponsor of Meadows course. All the baskets out here, supported by DGA.
Boy, was that... I don't know who that was talking to Chris right before he's about to throw his third shot. Maybe his advisor?
Throw the green one, she said.
Yeah.
I saw it on her lips. She
Right.
said that. Yeah. Let's see if that coaching advice pays off. See the tailwind picking up as his shirt and shorts are blowing.
Is he going to go? He's going aggressive here.
4.
Yeah. Oof. Cameraman able to just get out of the way. He's got the green inbounds mark there, so he'll have a long birdie putt from that point.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that was a big throw there.
Well,
I mean,
he went safe, aggressive. It seems like,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. So he'll have a long putt. If you saw just that distance between the cameraman and the basket, I mean, he'll be at about a 40-footer, I'd say, on the left-hand side of the basket. So there we go. We've got the leaderboard pulled up. You can see everybody's still so stacked. Paul McBeth sitting in first place right now, 13 under par, but going all the way down. I mean, you can see all the ties for fifth, all the way down to Nicola Castro at -10, excuse me.
Right.
3 strokes out. He's in 10th place, ideally, but tied for 5th. So anything can happen. Every stroke matters out here today.
Right, a name we haven't really mentioned, Tim Barham in the top 4. So potentially a name we could see on our featured card tomorrow. And there's that anticipated sidearm from Perkins, and he's put it in nicely in range for birdie here on number 7.
Beautiful forward roll,
Yeah,
too.
big jump. Yep.
Gaining a little bit more distance closer to the basket. And the flag, it's tied up right there. So it was still blowing pretty hard close to the basket. So that extra little boost of tailwind probably helped that roll as well. Looks like there's a good story being told right now between those 3.
So McBeth's given himself a really great angle, so he can now throw a backhand into this green. I still think that I would expect a sidearm. Honestly, I just like throwing stable discs downhill with this thick, lush grass, and we're going to see the switch up.
Nice little present for you, I think, Nate. So here's what that looks like.
Got it up high. Oh, but see, there's that angle. There was really no possibility for it to skip. It's thick, lush grass. So birdie opportunity there for McBeth.
It's nice to know he's listening to you still.
Oh, I need to listen to him. You
Yeah.
don't need to listen to me.
That's true.
Let's get it right. Let's get it right there.
So here we have Zach Melton, prime position. Just another hyzer for him. Love that angle. It's dialing in. Oh
Ooh,
my, it is
that
long
OB.
and out of bounds. Wow. That tailwind got the best of him there. As you can see, it's still pretty close to the basket when he's going to be taking his relief. But man, that was sailing out of bounds. That wasn't just a close call. That was plenty out.
Yeah, it's really surprising to see that happen from a left-handed player just basically throwing a backhand hyzer I mean, you got to be able to dial in that distance. That's an important shot to be able to execute right there. And he was unable to do that. Now he's going to be looking at having to make somewhere in the realm of a 30-foot putt coming back. If the wind starts to blow, that could be a problem as well. It's totally dead right now, but it's going to have to deal with that. You can see even with the way that Chris played the hole, we see them kind of coming in. I mean, Chris is going to have outside the circle. All the other three guys are inside the circle, putting. So look at that. I mean, Chris was seemingly able to get down pin high. So yeah, he was able to catch up some of those feet with a couple extra aggressive shots. Chris is a great putter from outside the circle. Oh, he said it all. Just need a little bit more. Get it up.
Just 1 inch higher, and that would have been cashed in the center for a birdie, but he's going to have to settle with par today. Seeing where Zach is going to be taking his relief.
We haven't really mentioned it, but Zach followed up that 4-putt double bogey back on hole 3 with 3 in a row birdies. And then he makes this little mistake here, and now he's fighting just to save a bogey. Or, excuse me, a par.
Another one just short, just an inch or two short, dead center of the cage. There's Nate Perkins putting for his birdie. About 25 feet. Wind seemingly very calm right now. Just that little bump up, a little slight elevated basket is really causing issues in this group. All 3 of them that have putted so far, just a bit short.
Right.
And it helps being just a little bit closer, making that putt look easy. Paul McBeth capitalizes on that with the only birdie of the group. There we go. We're 7 holes in. McBeth 5 down for the round, holding on to that first place
position. Yeah, extending it out 14 under par, and he's 2 ahead of Albert Tam. So we'll take a look at hole 8. This is a really fun hole, one of my favorite holes on the course. It's a big, giant turnover off the tee, trying to land just short of where we just flew over. And then it's a tough, long, uphill shot. And it's really hard to throw a late turning to the right shot up this hill. It's thick grass. You're throwing this uphill shot. You have to kind of get everything you can behind it. A lot of guys pull it to the right on that shot if they're really going for the pin and end up OB on that right side, kind of where the G is of the GMC, somewhere in that range. You'll see some of the shorter players just go ahead and step it back a little bit and play the hole for par, just getting a nice controlled shot around the corner and then up just between where the par and the bottom of that 8 is, level with the fairway, and then just chip it into that green.
It's so well explained, but looking at that, you can see on the tee sign, there's just so much trouble. That's such a good visual of just seeing how much out of bounds there is and the twists and turns of how this fairway lays out. Makes it really technical. making sure you're placing those drives exactly where you need them to be. And especially when you get close to the basket. If you've had any trouble up the fairway here, you get close to the basket and you're forced to make that putt, it can be very daunting with the OB just less than 10 feet from the basket.
Yeah. So let's check out some scores here. Ricky Wysocki is, I mean, these guys are only on hole 8. Ricky's already done. And we see his name down there at the bottom, up 43 places. But the key here is none of that. It's that 9 under par and that F next to it. So the big comeback by Ricky Wysocki, phase 1 of a three-part event is complete. He shot an incredible round today, one of the lowest scores that we will see even from our leaders. And so Wysocki, who again is really at this point the defending champion, as I'm not there. Ooh, and McBeth just throwing it out of bounds. Just completely had no turn on it at all. Completely missing the turn. That was just a big miss by McBeth, which we don't normally see. And look at that reaction. We don't normally see that either. But either way.
Wait, who's the reigning champion?
Yeah, I won the last GMC that we played, 2017. That was an incredible battle with Michael Johansson. So much fun. And Wysocki was right there too. But he's won the previous 4 before that. So he ain't going to give up that easy, shooting a 9 under today for Ricky. Had just the one bogeyed 16.
This is just an incredibly challenging drive to make sure that you're hitting the right angle, but at the same time allowing it to carry enough. We saw on one side, Paul McBeth air it out and not flip it enough. Heiser's out. And we see, Chris curl it too much, turn it over too much, hit short, thankfully rolls back inbounds, but 2 sides of the spectrum, just a really hard angle to hit.
Yeah, and you'd think that Zach has an advantage here, and he really does. But honestly, it's tough to get a big hyzer to get it up that far up the fairway. So he's going to have a pretty long second shot ultimately. And one of the reasons it's so tough for McBeth is because he's left really far back. But we'll see what he's got for us in just a minute.
Today, we're talking about the Undertaker. The Undertaker is a fairway driver, and for advanced players, it will be pretty straight, but for the newer player, it'll be a good first control driver. For me, the Undertaker is the perfect point-and-shoot fairway driver, both in the woods and out in the open. If I'm throwing at a target that's straight ahead, I'm going with the Undertaker every time. It's just really straight. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
Hey, GMC viewers, go buy a mock shift basket from DGA, putt on it 1 time every other month, and see if your putting improves by like 200%. It probably won't because that's not very consistent practice, but man, wouldn't that be awesome?
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdied, my friends.
Here we are back on hole 8. Nate Perkins is going to be the first to throw his second shot.
Left this far back, there's absolutely no way he can go for the green. It's way too far out there because it's probably somewhere in the realm of 500 feet or 475 feet away, but uphill the entire way. So I think the big question right now is, what does McBeth do? You know, he wasn't that much further ahead of Nate but he's obviously a much bigger thrower than Nate. So we'll see how aggressive he's going to get here and if he's going to potentially bring another OB into play. He's got it on a pretty comfortable line.
Lands nicely in the middle there. Yeah, he had his eyes on that target heading up the hill as much as possible. Kind of make up for that first shot of an error.
And you could see, I mean, he's still about 45 feet out. So it was, I mean, he put a lot into that, but able to control it inbounds, and he's going to have a putt to save his par. And from this position, I mean, you got to give it everything you got to get a 45-foot putt.
A lot of hyzer angle on that one. It's not flipping up much. It's a good amount of distance, but landing just inside circle 2.
And there's that 45-foot putt I'm talking about. I mean, that's everything Chris Dickerson has. I mean, that's his, you know, and for that matter, McBeth. I'm sure he could have given it a little bit more, but I mean, it's a big throw from there. Now Zach's got green light all day long.
Ooh, taking out very wide, throwing it flat. Works its way back into the middle, but again, on and near that circle's edge, catching a glimpse of him in another camera angle. He's bummed he wasn't able to capitalize on that. He was in such great position.
Yeah, he really was. He was lined up to just, you know, absolutely crush one up there. The one thing is that he's got a lot of uphill just off that he's running up. I mean, he's running uphill in thick grass. And we just had some of the remnants of the hurricane come through. They had some rain last week, and so everything's just thick right now. And so he had to kind of get going up there, and you could see that he just yanked it a little bit, but fortunate to come back in bounds. He'll have a long look at birdie.
Yeah, that's always tough when you're trying to do a run up and you're trying to get it, all the power that you have, and you just feel so sluggish because it's just that slight little incline, that slight little bit of elevation that you're running up. Just makes it a little bit harder to get everything you got into it. We're gonna miss Nate Perkins throwing in his upshot underneath the basket, but he just tosses a nice little sidearm, so he will be sitting there for his par.
Yeah, that'll be Nate's chip up. He just he did put it inside the circle there, so he's going to have a good look. And now we're going to have a putting contest of a different sort. We had a putting contest between these three guys back on, I think it was hole 6, and now we're going to see it here on hole 8. But this one's an outside the circle putting contest. I believe it'll be Zach Melton to putt first, as he's stepping right at the edge of the second circle. Ooh. It's kind of floating it up there. No harm, no foul. This hole's going to play definitely on the more difficult side of even par, and you know, ultimately a par is not a bad thing. This is going to be Chris for birdie.
Just missing about an inch too low on the previous hole. See if he can make up for that. Not enough forward momentum. We know after going out of bounds, Paul McBeth is now putting for par on this one. He's going to give it everything he's got. The wind catches that just a little bit to soar him over the basket and past. And that's going to be the first blemish on Paul's card for today.
Yeah, first blemish for the entire tournament, as he was bogey-free yesterday. So McBeth not all that comfortable with his bogey there, but he's going to have to stick with it, and he's still going to have a lead in the tournament as nobody has kind of come up here towards the end. Albert Tam, who was at 12 under, has bogeyed the 15th hole. He's now in a tie for third, as Tim Barham has continued to play well. He's 6 under par and 12 under par for the tournament in second place.
We're going to head over to AJ on the course.
Hey everybody, that's it for the front nine here in Fox Run Meadows. The mood is still pretty light. As you can probably hear, it's still very windy. We got Zach Melton and Chris Dickerson on the card. They're just having fun out here pretty much. A lot of people think that Chris Dickerson's, a little, got a hard exterior, a little robotic, but if there's one person that can break him, besides his wife, it's Zach Melton. So hopefully the cameras kind of pick up a little bit of that camaraderie. We'll see on the back nine. Back to
We're back.
Hey, we're just watching.
I was waiting for more fun facts.
You can see us. We're just like, hey, what's the guy got for us next? Although, fun fact, we still have one more hole on the front nine. So
not quite there yet.
Big thanks to AJ, of course. I got a comment, right? I think it's true. I mean, I think Chris Dickerson definitely comes off as a little stern, a little serious. But, at the end of the day, I think both him and Zach know each other well, being from Tennessee, and they probably play quite a bit together. Right. So kind of nice to hear that they're having a good time. Zach Melton, that guy has a good time no matter what he's doing. I mean, he's one of the most friendly, chatty, just comfortable guys out there. So a nice little group here. They're not playing as well as they would like, that's for sure.
I think that's why AJ said, oh, they're just out here. They're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're not playing great, usually you can rely on that, hopefully.
Right.
They're having a good time.
Something else to mention while we're going to see Chris Dickerson have the tee pad here, have the honors here on hole 9, is that Vermont, if anybody notices, the crowd is good. There's some people out watching. It's Friday in Vermont, come the weekend, we're going to see some big crowds, right? But this is a very calm and comfortable day. And these guys are out here just kind of playing. The whole field is out on the course. It's one of those days that's kind of calming in a way. There's obviously pressure. It's obviously a big championship looming over the weekend and, trying to win this tournament, but sort of one of those calming days, even under this pressure. Ooh, I like this shot by Nate. What a line.
Even a fortunate skip, just kind of played that forward bounce toward the basket, and we pan over. He's going to have a good look at a putt. And this hole is fun. Nice downward sloping green, and if you can get your disc on the right line, it's just going to carry all the way down. We do have OB on the right-hand side with those trees pretty much lining that entire way. And we have an OB line on the left-hand side at the base of that side hill. Wow, and we were all waiting to see if that was going to come back in bounds. He got so much carry. There you see his white disc landing inbounds.
See if our cameraman can catch that beautiful line that we saw from Nate Perkins. Let's see if McBeth can execute it. You really want to ride that right side as close as you can. Of course, you have to bring OB into play as that whole right side. All those woods are OB, but it's really the best line to try to get all the way to the pin. Ooh, he's got it high. I don't like this height. Is he going to get lucky? Ooh, and he does not get lucky. It's going to be OB. See the frustration. So a little bit of chink in the McBeth armor here in the middle part of this second round. Let's take a break. We'll catch up in a minute.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Curve to one. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is the sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway. By accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Here we are on the right-hand side of the fairway as Paul McBeth still trying to get an eye on his disc. He said probably already has his lie for where he's going to throw his next shot, but probably not wanting to lose that disc.
Yeah, right there, about 5-6 feet right of Zach Melton. It goes severely downhill. There's a big gully right here, a big, deep, sort of barranca in a way. But yeah, you can see where McBeth's mark is. There you go. He's not happy at all. It's not often that you have, you see a lot of frustration out of McBeth, but he knows that the last 2 drives have really cost him, and he was having a really solid round. And both of the mistakes that he made, they're very difficult to come back from. You see the frustration because they're mistakes made in a spot that it's tough to make saves, And one thing that we don't see McBeth do is throw out of bounds quite, all that much.
And speaking of, showing your personality or, Paul McBeth is always very stone cold, serious, whether, he's not playing too great or even if he's winning the world championships. Yeah, he's always got that just super focus, which can come off as, just a little serious. But now we're seeing a little bit of frustration, seeing him react to these errors that he's doing. So we'll see how that can maybe pump him up, get him back on course. Here we have Chris Dickerson.
Oh, and boy, it looked good most of the way, just a little bit short. We see Alyssa Van Lannen. You've ever seen photos from her? They're amazing. One of the best out there.
And this place just really sets up for some beautiful photography. Oh, and that's a great picture to get a capture of.
Yeah, let that replay roll. I mean, that was outside the circle. There it is, the Zuka replay. Look at the height on it. You can see he wanted just to drop, and it dropped right in there. So nice putt there by Nate Perkins. On the McBeth thing, it's really, he's in a class of his own. And at the end of the day, he's and I'm not saying this because I'm just really living and dying by this guy, but he is in a class of his own. He's playing against himself most of the time. And so these frustrations is because he's not living up to the standard that he set for himself. And so it's not surprising. I've always seen Paul be very fiery, and he wants to win no matter what the scenario. So not surprised to see it. But also his standard is next to none at this point.
There we go. It's going to be another bogey on Paul's scorecard. Pure frustration there. On a hole that a player all these players should be birdieing. I saw a little frustration out of Zach Melton. He really wanted that one. And of course, Chris Dickerson as well. The only player able to capture that was Nate Perkins.
And with that bogey, McBeth's going to move to 12 under par. He's now in a three-way tie with Chris Clemens and Tim Barham. So sort of we're starting to see, and these guys are now on 12, 13, 14. We're starting to see a little bit of the cream rise to the top here. And there we are, 9 holes in the books. AJ, we've played 9 now. And let's take a look at hole 10. One of the easier holes in the course, very gettable for all of our players who all have quality sidearms. It's just 295 feet, plays over this little low area into a green that is really kind of set up for a sidearm. You see the slope there?
Mm-hmm.
It really just allows these guys to throw sidearms, dig the sidearm into that side hill, and not really have to worry about going deep. So when you stand on the tee, you got your sidearm, you got your most overstable disc. You pick a point out there, you put your disc on that point, it should finish at the basket, and we should see a couple of birdies here at least, I would imagine.
Sounds like a good plan. We'll see if they stick to it. You know, we have first on the tee, Nate Perkins. Looks like he's going to be pulling out that sidearm.
Yeah. We'll see them all throw sidearms here. I mentioned in this morning's coverage, there was a Jomez follow flight of who was it? It was Kale LaVisca throwing a turnover. It was just this silky smooth turnover. Looks like that's what Chris Dickerson's going to try. The turnover is way more difficult, you know, because you're just, and I'm only saying that because the sidearm is like probably an 8 out of 10 birdie shot. And the backhand to equal that is a lot more difficult, I think.
And just the difficulty of just throwing that shot. It's just a simple sidearm hyzer.
Right.
Where this is a little more technical, picking the angle, picking the right disc, and popping it on the right line. It looks like he's able to do just that. Just butters it up there. And that shot right there, I'm assuming, is what led to his success in yesterday's round.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of those slow turning anhyzer mid-range shots over at Brewster Ridge.
And that's the way that hill likes to catch him. You can see he took a little bit of a roll, nothing crazy, but we'll see McBeth step up here. And if this disc is outside of 15 feet, I'd be very surprised.
Out wide, bringing it back in. It's going to have a little bit of a putt, but not bad. We'll catch up with the players on the green in just a minute. Back with Nate Perkins. Had full extension on that one, but not able to hit any metal. He was the farthest out here for the birdie putts here on hole 10. Beth next up.
going to say it's just at the edge of 15 feet. We'll call it 18 feet. Up the hill, tailwind. Just going to give it enough height. Wind's going to push it down. McBeth right in the heart. Enough speed, no problems there for him.
These are got to get birdies. You have to get them. You see the players on UDisc Live just creeping up. And more birdies you can get, that's how you're going to maintain. We now have a stacked up leaderboard. 4 people tied for first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there we go. Zach Melton taps in his birdie.
McBeth just taking the birdie, so he's going to creep just one ahead of that group. But still, I mean, there's a group of 4 people, and the one guy down there that we haven't talked a lot about. Now we saw him a lot at the MVP Open was Greg Barsby, the world champion from this course last year. And there's that birdie from Dickerson. Barsby down in 5th place, having a pretty solid round. He's 4 under for the round, 11 under for the tournament. But he's going to have some really good feelings playing this course and playing this tournament. So we could see him creep up in there as well. There's hole 10. Let's take a look at 11. 11 is a straight away par 4, 575 feet. You're going to want to, you really need to be aggressive off the tee pad here. You need to try to be up pretty much right where Kristen Tartar is, just where she was. And then we come down into the basket here. You want to try to get out as far as you can. And that way you're a little bit closer to the gap, because there's really only one main gap down into this basket. There's an OB on the right, and it's just thick woods on the left. So the further you can get out there off the tee, the better your chances of getting right down that gap are.
And it just gets so technical in that last 150 feet of this hole, you know, making sure you're able to hit it and punch through. But even if you're landing 20 feet from the basket, you could still have about 20 trees in your way.
Absolutely.
So even if you play this perfectly off the get-go, really comes down to that finish.
With that birdie, Dickerson moves back to even par for the round. He's now 11 under par. You can see him asking for it to go left. He's trying to stay short of the OB there. That's a good rip there by Dickerson, getting some good distance on it, some good air under it. But Dickerson's moved into 11 under par, so he's in a tie for 5th, sort of creeping back after that early double bogey on hole 1. Oh,
come on now.
Yeah, come on. Ride that angle. Ooh. Tough to see what happened there. These OBs going to be left well back.
McBeth putting a little turn on it, but has enough stability to work its way back. It's, I think, a little more difficult to be tucked on that right-hand side for that second shot. So it'll be interesting to see how they play their second shots. Ideally, you want to land on the left-hand side, giving yourself that straight look down the wooded fairway. Again, another flipped up shot from the group.
And there's an invisible headwind we can't see, and so that's kind of why we're seeing a lot of that. We'll take a break and catch in with you here in just a second.
The DGA Pipeline's the longest, straightest fairway driver you'll ever throw. I just need a good line about pipes and disc golf. Pipes. I got nothing.
did hear confirmation that Zach was out of bounds. This never came back in bounds after that big hyzer line. So he is taking it very short off of the tee. Going to still have about 400 or so feet to get to the basket. What do you think this line is? Aggressive or not?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough because his disc is going to finish going towards the OB. You can see that white stake on the corner. That's OB. If you got too much air under it, it would have just been destined for OB. So probably the right mistake for Zach to make low there. He's going to now have a chip down into the green. And, I mean, really, you just kind of, this is the situation. You put yourself this far back.
Yeah, I think that was a good play.
Yeah.
I mean, laying it up to that opening, and then now he's just going to be in a good position to keep it away from the trees, give himself an easy finish to this hole.
Yeah,
like you said, that's just the trouble you got yourself into.
Right.
Just clean it up and move on.
Yeah, the hole's only 575, but you leave yourself that far back with OB and a tough kind of gap to hit. Yeah, that's kind of what you're destined for. So you see Nate Perkins here now. Just out of view here. Nate Perkins has a caddy by the name of Paige Pierce.
I've heard of her.
Yeah. Ooh, let's see what our spotter gives us. Ooh, green. It looks like Nate will have a birdie putt down in the gap.
It is heavily wooded down here where hole 11's basket lies, but we can see still a lot of open air between the trees. Looks like there's two gaps from this angle that we see, but players are really only aiming for the one main one through the gap, through the middle, and as we'll check back here in the fairway. See, it's basically between those two large clumps of trees up there that we see Paul aiming for. And this is what you get on the right-hand side. You gotta go with the sidearm.
Yeah, and he's got to play the sidearm wide. Oh, he's hit it perfectly. Good speed too. He chose a mid-range disc. I think that was his zone, and he was able to control that nicely. So he's going to have a birdie look. That's a nice save potentially from being a little bit out of position for him to pick up another birdie. And Paul has not parred since all the way back on the third hole. Picked up 5 birdies and 2 bogeys in that time frame. The birdies can be much more difficult to come by as we come down this back 9 stretch. There's some really, really difficult holes. Melton going for just the jump putt there. Look at how far Dickerson's put it out there.
It's a crush. It's an absolute crush. Gonna make this upshot just that much easier. And I'm very hesitant to even say that. Still gonna have about 150 feet to the basket. And hangs out a little bit too far left. Hits the side tree. Does get the green flag. Very enthusiastic green flag at that. So must be close to see where that OB line comes in on the right-hand side.
Boy, it's one of those things too where, who knows if, and Melton's just making this hole very difficult. That jump putt that he did there is hit that tree. But yeah, with Dickerson, I mean, maybe he wasn't there in practice. I mean, that's way out there. So maybe he just wasn't necessarily ready for that specific shot.
trying to recover. Zach goes for that putt. He's going to be about 15, 20 feet on the right-hand side. So still a little bit of a tester. We know he's a strong putter, but forcing things to happen right now toward the end of the hole.
So Dickerson with the biggest tee shot, but now still way outside for his birdie look. This guy is a really good step through putter. Let's see if he's able to take this one down. Playing just short again. Kind of seen that. That's been a trend for him today. That's a big miss.
We've got Nate Perkins putting for birdie.
Oh.
Ooh, and bringing that out of bounds line beyond the basket into play. Doesn't seem like it's close enough for him to run up and check, so should be safely inbounds. I'm having to take a knee for Zach Melton on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it's tight. There's just a bunch of little trees over there. It's for double bogey.
Makes it happen. Ooh, that was a rough hole for Zach. I'm sure he's happy that that is over with. Wow, and actually picking up his putter, it did sail out of bounds.
Yeah. So birdie to bogey there for Nate Perkins if he's able to tap that in, and he is. But that just goes to show you cannot take anything for granted here. You know, the OBs are close to these baskets in these woods. You have to think about those things. And McBeth able to tap in his birdie, executing it just perfectly. He'll grab those two bogeys right back on 10 and 11 that he took on 8 and 9. So McBeth back to 14 under par now. Let's take a look at this 12th hole. Hole 12, 720 feet. It's more of a placement drive, even for our biggest throwers. I'm not sure we're going to see anybody go to try to get across. You want to land right in this zone right here. Then the fairway turns to the right and plays out to the basket, which is pretty much in a wide open field. You have those trees up on the left you want to try to avoid staying out of. And you got a little bit of OB on the right, but really they have purposely set this hole up as a 2-shot hole because really I just can't imagine anybody trying to go for that second fairway. I could be wrong, of course, but I think the average is trying to lay up. You see where that red tee pad is way up in that corner? That's the one the players are trying to land right up next to. Gives them about a 225-foot shot into that basket.
And speaking of players that might go for it, we see Simon. He's hanging in there, tied for second place. So he hangs in there for another 2 rounds. We'll be able to see him on the final day. See if he would be likely one of the few players himself, double G, but it is a risky play, as you said.
It's just one of those types of shots that it's a really strange angle because the fairway is sort of turned about 35, 40 degrees. There's the red tee pad. McBeth's just right below it. He should have about a 230-foot shot into the green. I don't see where the advantage comes because you're not going to get to the basket at all. So I think just the layup, even from the big guys. In fact, Lazat parred hole 12 just a few seconds ago.
Nice whip there, riding the right-hand line. I bet he wanted that to kick over to the left-hand side just a little bit more to open up his angle on his second shot. But we'll see how that turns out in a second. I think that's great position there. Landing it on the left-hand side, opening up that window just a little bit more. Zach hoping to make up the stroke here. A couple of nice shots. A little bit short, I think, but that is all for players off the tee. We're going to take a break and catch up with them in the fairway. And welcome back to hole 12. All four players have landed safely inbounds. Now it's all about this booming second drive. Nate's able to get a nice flip up on that.
And he flexed it back nicely. We saw it skip up there. Can't actually see it in that view, but looks like he's going to have a birdie putt. He was about 50 feet behind that red tee, so we're talking, 275 somewhere in there. Through a nice flex shot. McBeth lining up for the same thing here. Just kind of a little bit of a tough stance because he's got a little hill to his left. I'll land on a little bit of a side hill there. See him falling away after his release. But beautifully executed there from McBeth.
And there we go. Nice view. Yeah, he's going to have a nice 20-foot putt there. Had so much power on that one. Nice stable disc, able to fly back to the left. Let's see Zach using that lefty route, using that big hyzer. He's got a nice angle on this one. Let's see if it's far enough. Going to be a little bit short as we pan back to the basket. So he's going to have a big putt there for his birdie.
Yeah, they're all having a bit of trouble actually getting it up to the basket. It looks like McBeth's the one that's the closest, and he's 22 feet, 25 feet short. So really, and it is uphill. You're slightly below the level of the next part of the fairway. So there is that to contend with. But boy, these are being left just a little bit short.
And player with the most difficult angle of the group. Really going to have to put a turn on this one. Turns out a little bit too much. Catching a roll. but landing safely. That's the disadvantage of being on that right-hand side after your drive. You really have to flex the shot out to make it work. And really, you can't see the basket, so it's
Right.
really technical type of shot. So you got to just trust it. There's a look at the leaderboard. Still, everybody is so stacked up. We see Paul McBeth definitely getting a little bit of a cushion there. Got 2 strokes up above Simon Lizotte, who is just a couple holes ahead. So he's got a couple of birdies under his belt more.
Yeah, and that right there, that score line of Nico LaCastro, if you guys are at home looking at all at his scorecard, it's like birdies, double bogeys, and a ton of red or a ton of blue on his card. So Nico able to heading towards a good round. If he can finish with a birdie or two and avoid a big number, he's going to be in there. Nico's played well here before in the past. So, and Nico's a name we haven't talked a lot about this season. He's had some good rounds and he's sort of finished middle of the pack a lot of the time. So this could be his opportunity. And one thing we really haven't mentioned to this point at all is these players sort of jockeying for position as we head into the Pro Tour finals, where the sort of the order of merit that they're going to have after this tournament is going to, really determine where they play in the Pro Tour finals. So some late points here in this last event could do a whole lot of good come those finals in about a month. You see, and this is the one thing I was just mentioning. Look at the size of the crowd. It's a very calm day. It's a very nice day, pleasurable day to be out on the course. And I think all of these players, no matter how they're playing, should certainly be enjoying themselves, because this is a real honor and a real pleasure to be able to play under these types of conditions.
And I'm sure it feels like there's nobody else out there besides this group as you play the loop around Fox Meadows. I mean, now they're just closing out the groups today. Everybody else is across the road on the other side of the course. And so not a lot of distractions. You're just taking it all in. That was the first run there at Zach Melton for birdies for the group.
Boy, Perks, man, yeah, he's given himself a lot of good looks. AJ brought it up, his putting statistics from Circle 2 and Circle 1. It's not near the top, so that's why we're seeing a lot of these missed putts, but a lot of really good opportunities. And here's McBeth for birdie.
Cashes it right in the heart. Again, taking another solo birdie. That's just going to keep on erasing those bogeys, those blemishes. He's still shooting a very nice round today at 6 under.
Back down the list, just in second place, Tim Barham, bogey free today. Lizotte has cooled off incredibly from his early 6 in a row start. He went bogey, double bogey. He's just had 1 birdie since, but he's tied for second. But the thing is that McBeth going to now 15 under. He's now 12, or he's 3 strokes ahead of that tie for second place, and Greg Barsby's just moved into a tie for 4th place. So seeing those names continuing to jump up the list.
Looks like we have AJ on the course, so we're going to catch a little glimpse.
All right, here we are. My name's AJ Risley, your sideline commentator. Paul McBeth, in his previous tournament round out here, went bogey-free, 9 under. Front 7 bogey-free, but a couple bogeys on 8 and 9. I saw him munching on a snack, and now he's back on the course with a turkey. So, pro tip, if you get a couple bogeys, just pull out a Cliff Bar or something, and you should be fine. Back to you guys.
If it was just as easy as that. You have
Yeah,
a little snack.
that's
a little
what
birdie
I've been
snack.
doing wrong these last few years. just a snack and get a turkey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's right. When we McBeth has picked it back up. He got those 2 bogeys in a row, and bam, bam, bam. There you go. Those bogeys are in the past, and he's now got a 3-stroke lead. So the rest of the field's got to be a little careful here.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, that's not necessarily how the game is played, but in a way it is. I mean, this guy's starting to build a little bit of confidence. A few more birdies here, he could be sitting on a 4 or 5-stroke lead, as a lot of these other guys that are behind him are a few holes ahead. And, you know, that's a good thing for McBeth and not such a good thing for the rest of the field.
Absolutely, and that'll feel really good for him going into tomorrow's round at Brewster Ridge. A lot more technical. You need to have that little bit of a cushion in there in the woods. Things just tighten up just a little bit, and you never know, if you're getting the good kicks or the bad kicks. So you just got to roll with the punches. But a cushion always helps, especially when you're in the lead. But while we've got a minute, why don't we head over and check out the whole preview of hole 13.
14, I think. Oh, no, it is 13. Yeah, here we go. Nice. Hole 13, 350 feet, just up and over the ridge line here. Place down this electrical panel or electrical line cutout. Just want to get it up. If you were to come in just in front of that electrical pole, you're going to swing right into the basket. This is a line none of the players want to take. They want to go just out and around there and come into this green. A very, very gettable birdie. Really not a lot of challenge here. One that I think any one of our players would step up to and think, I have a possible birdie here. So just 350 feet, pretty much a straight hyzer, like a straight 2 hyzer finish. And birdie is a big possibility.
Yes, it is. And it's so nice that just how it gradually slopes down toward the basket, and the disc just seemed to feed right underneath. If you're able to get that hyzer skip, it's going to be a technical shot for Zach with that backhand lefty kind of swooping hyzer. Excuse me. But we do see the out of bounds line circling the basket beyond. You see the keen wall lined up there, so preventing any skips or rolls from going out of bounds, which is pretty fortunate play.
Yeah, as long as you're not just, 8 inches high of it. I mean, that wall is, hate that wall. But anyways, love Keen, but the wall. At any rate, one thing to mention here, we saw it with Sarah Hokum, is to this point, I think Zach has had it fairly a good kind of a lot of lefty friendly holes. And even one of the holes that wasn't all that lefty friendly, hole number 5, he played absolutely perfectly. So we get to this 13, 14, 15, 16 stretch, and 17, not great for left-handed players, even though 14 kind of is, or 15 kind of is. All I'm saying is that these are some tough holes coming up here for Zach Melton, and we're going to see a lot of just hyzer shots for these guys now, these right-handers.
We're seeing that one hyzering out, skipping off to the left-hand side. He's going to have some trees to contend with. The players are now back on the other side of the course after that little bit of a walk. And, man, we're already on hole 13. We are just zooming along. Nice that there aren't any backups here.
Yeah, not yet.
Should we knock on wood?
Yeah, I think we should. Absolutely. Oh, and Chris has left that low. The one thing that's going to give them just a little bit of bother is that there is a bit of a headwind coming through this gap. But still at 350 feet, it's tight, but it's definitely gettable. It's a hole that these players are going to want a birdie. Boy, Nate put a nice little turn on it there, but still short, not able to grab that distance. So I think that headwind is definitely making it a little bit more difficult. Let's see if we see it. Yep, here it is. So this is going to be a sidearm from Zach Melton. Zach wanting it to turn a bit. Oh, and he hits the last tree. He's going to have a look at birdie. We'll take a short break and catch up with you on the green.
Spectacular views like these and championship level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and more. Featuring live music from Zach Nugent and Blues for Breakfast. Also the 2019 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
And we are back here on hole 13, round 2 of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. We are on the Fox Meadows course. You're just joining us. Welcome in.
We just heard a little bit of a clap there as we saw that upshot come in and hit the pyramid there, and so that'll be just a drop in par here. Hole 13 playing is the 13th easiest. Well, it says 13th most difficult. So let's reverse that. What is that? The 5th easiest, 6th easiest, something like that. At basically playing average of par. So while I said I think a lot of our players would like to birdie here, obviously the hole is playing a little bit more difficult as I think the headwind has maybe put a lot of the players in some tough positions, and you can see where McBeth is. He just wasn't able to get it all the way down through the gap, and he's got a really tight look here.
No way.
Wow,
Roll that Zuka replay. I thought this was just going to be a layup.
Jeez.
Are you? Oh my. But not for Paul McBeth. We can barely see the basket and he nails it.
That's one of the shots of the year. Not just the Zuka replay. Obviously, we rolled it there, but man, shot of the year really, because that was so much angle. It had so much hyzer angle on it. The gap that he was trying to make and then having to line it up exactly with the basket. Absolutely incredible. That'll be one that McBeth will certainly remember, and we'll probably have to mention it in the post-round interview. But boy, McBeth, just incredible stuff.
I mean, there are about 50 things that could have gone wrong with that putt.
Yeah, and he's 45 feet away too, or 40 feet, roughly.
And the one thing that went right, it went in the basket. Wow.
That's the kind of thing that the other guys in the group are like, really? Come on, dude. Like, seriously? And
Yeah.
McBeth's just going, yeah, sweet. I'm loving it. I'm off to the next tee. Incredible stuff. I would put that in the top 5 shots of the year. There's no doubt about that. Huge putt there by McBeth.
Man, and when the other players are feeling like the door's wide open, I mean, you got to go for the birdie putts, but look at this putt right here. tricky little comeback putt for Zach Melton.
Seriously? How did he put that in? I mean, that's incredible. What a beautiful putt there by McBeth. Just really, I think that goes to show you that it's all for McBeth. It's all about just giving every single putt a look. It doesn't matter where he is. He just gives it a look. And
don't try that at home,
yeah,
folks.
Yeah, just lay it up. If you're at home, just lay it up. But let's take a look at hole 14. 380 feet straight up the hill. It's a big smash hyzer. You want to try to bring it in on the right side. You can see all the OB that you're throwing up and over. If you hit any one of those trees short, we see a lot of kickback rolls. So you're coming in with all this hyzer angle, you hit a tree, bam, it turns around and rolls straight back. We see a lot of that stuff happen. It's a gettable hole. It's a very, very gettable hole. We'll take a look at how it's playing just, let's see here. Let me take a look. Playing about the same average as the previous hole we just played. So right around even par. So seemingly an even number of bogeys as there is birdies. But at 380 feet, as how severely uphill it is, it's not surprising to see that kind of fall into that. So as gettable as the last hole, and clearly McBeth showed us that even if you're behind a wall of trees, it doesn't matter.
There we go. There is the breakdown of hole 14. It really is. I think it's a little bit more simplified than the last shot. The fairway's a little bit wider. Even if you saw it off a little bit on the left-hand side, the trees offer more space. It's a little bit easier for those putts. So giving it the great opportunity for birdie here. Paul's choosing the right up the gut shot. Wow, a little higher. We were looking at an ace run.
Yeah, I mean, it's so far. You can see just the angle. See how far up above their heads it is? And McBeth able to execute a very controlled shot there. Looks to be just past the pin. But I guess probably smartly taking it up the gut there. I've seen a lot of players go with a little bit of a bigger hyzer, but it is just so severe uphill, and the tee pad slightly uphill as well.
At this point, I think the wind is blowing over their right shoulder, so right to left. So that one did affect Chris's shot, carrying it off to the left-hand side. Gotta get it up. Just not able to climb up that thick grass on that hillside. About 70 feet short.
Tough shot for a left-handed player as everything falls away, falls towards the OB. He's got to really make sure and put a good little turn on it here. Zach asking for it to get up and unable to get up. And there we see all four of our players off and running. We'll check in with you in just a second. Oh, there we go.
Just in time to roll that Zuka replay.
You gotta roll it, man. Look at this. Disc is in the air. We just come out of break, and boom, Nate Perkins. Look at that smile. Nice. That's like catching a big old fish. Nate Perkins loves fishing, and that was a beautiful putt there. Kind of give us a little punch of energy.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice
We're on hole 14. We're almost made it through the round. Nate Perkins says it is not over yet.
Not at all. Big putt there by Perkins. Yeah, Zach just not able to get enough juice on it. And it's incredible to look at the bottom there. We see McBeth just within the group. McBeth has really extended his lead up over the guys even in his group by, well, Perkins just birdied, so he's at 9, but Melton, he's 8 ahead of Melton. I mean, these guys started tied. It's absolutely incredible how McBeth is able to just turn on the heat and just start running.
And we've talked about it before, but we'll talk about it again. We're playing 2 courses here this weekend. We have the Fox Run Meadows course that we're playing today, but their first round started off on Brewster Ridge. Very tight, technical, wooded holes. Lots of OB. And you can see maybe a little bit more technical players in this group today. Chris Dickerson came out. He was in the lead going into today's round. So his game likely favors the more technical shots. As you can see, a player like Paul McBeth, a little bit more well-rounded, has those big distance shots, taking that lead and taking a little bit of advantage today here at Fox Run. So again, tomorrow might throw us for a loop yet again, heading back to Brewster Ridge, but nice putt there from Paul, capitalizing on that birdie.
Yeah, that one seems easy compared to the one on the last hole. You know, the one thing about going into tomorrow's round is this is really now going to be the culmination of these players playing both rounds. So in theory, it's the best of both worlds, for lack of a better explanation. And one thing that we'll see, let's go ahead and roll the footage on 15. Let's take a look at 15. 15, a brand new hole as of the World Championship last year, literally just cut out of this very, very thick wooded area. And it's a 315-foot hole, plays down to the right, finishes right. Now, this morning we were talking about how maybe it favors a backhand, but that severe late turn, in a way, almost favors sort of a controlled sidearm. You're able to keep it flat, finish it severely to the right. You might be able to tuck up over to that basket area. But either way, 15 and 16 back-to-back we're going to see are very wooded. The second half of 16 is open, but the early parts are very wooded. And I think kind of a nice addition to the Fox Run Meadows course to bring in a little bit of this wooded action towards the end of the round.
And these holes are extremely important as we continue on through this tournament. These are going to be the finishing holes of the tournament. We're finishing here on Fox Run on Sunday. Very technical finishing holes.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to see McBeth in between potentially 2 shots here. I mean, you figure he probably prepared both, and he's gone for the turnover. He's gotten a little bit lucky. He overturned it. He immediately reacted like he overturned it, but he got through a bit, and he's going to have an outside look at a birdie. Although at this point, I have no idea what I'm saying because I could think he's not going to birdie, and he would. But at any rate, you know, something Val here. Why we see Nate? Oh, this is the shot I'm thinking. Right there. Look at that.
Money.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Beautiful shot.
That late finish hyzer, I think, on the sidearm is is ideal. And but at any rate, when we came on air, we saw all these scores, a lot of blue, boom, 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 people jumping up. What has happened? I mean, Fox Run Meadows has shown its teeth. The players that are locked in, they're moving up, but we saw some players that we were talking about early really fall back down. And the one name, if you're watching at home on UDisc, that's lurking, Greg Barsby. Greg Barsby is now tied for third place going into a round tomorrow that he should definitely be feeling good, as he played Rooster incredibly well during the World Championship. So nice to see Barsby in there, sort of, if you will, the defending champion of this event, although he just happened to take home a little trophy we like to call the World Championship last year.
Just popping up the UDisc Live stats. Greg's putting is on fire. We're going to throw it a commercial. We're going to bring it back at the green.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is the sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh. Tree hugger Zach Melton throws his upshot there. I had to make sure he was going to be all right.
Yeah, he was. That tree was getting at him. That's for sure. Now we see McBeth. We see what McBeth's dealing with here. And you have to remember, McBeth has not taken a par since the 3rd hole of this round. We are on hole 15. He did sneak 2 bogeys in there. I mean, he's 60 feet away. Let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see. It still gave it a good run. It was basket high, just a little bit left. And I could just see in another camera angle, McBeth frustrated that he missed that one. So, he's feeling good. I mean, at some point we got to lighten it up here a little bit. I mean, the guys hit everything. So that'll be a par for McBeth.
He has hit everything.
Right.
In fact, he's 100%
from 1x.
From inside the circle.
Yeah, well, it's saying 1x, so 3 meters to 10 meters. So everything basically outside of 9 feet, between 9 and 33 feet. I mean, that is incredible. Greg Barsby, you were mentioning statistically, he's 92%. He's just missed 1 inside circle 1x. So Barsby putting well. Speaking of putting well, Melton able to tap that one in. I guess this kind of shows us how far, boy, Dickerson and Perkins, I mean, are they that close? I couldn't tell, but maybe they were just a little bit behind the group there. Now we see Nate coming in. Nate able to tap in that birdie. Nice job for Nate, taking advantage of the energy from that big putt on the last hole and kind of salvaging some strokes here towards the end of the round. Chris able to do the same.
Nice to see those 2 birdies for him on the last 2 holes. Let's head over to 16. Give us the rundown, Nate.
Yep, here we are on hole 16, par 4, 715 feet. It's a long, straight, wooded drive. This takes all of your patience and control, and you just got to try to thread it down here toward the edge of the fairway, because right there's an OB that goes across. You got to jump over into the short grass to get back in bounds. And so really you have to try to control your tee shot, land in a good spot. Then you got about 310 feet out to the basket. It's in the absolute wide open. It's one of the more difficult holes on the course, playing as the 3rd most difficult, almost point or just over 0.8 over par, almost playing a full stroke over par. So 16's tough, really mainly just from the tee shot side of things. You know, the tee is way back there for the men, and you're trying to get to this kind of tiny little landing zone. So it's definitely a tough hole here.
And what I think is really impressive is the flyovers that we're seeing. So shout out to Gatekeeper for allowing us to see what the disc sees and find those fairways for us and give us those flyovers. I can't wait to see the flyovers at Brewster's Ridge. And controlling that drone and working your way through the trees.
Right.
I think that's impressive.
That is fun.
But here's the leaderboard. We see everybody still stacked up pretty well, but everybody is just trailing behind Paul McBeth at this point. 4 strokes between Paul and second place. Sam Lazat's holding on to second place solo right now, but as we know, lots of movement can still happen. Few holes left. Lots of things happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And to sort of continue to break the board down, we see McBeth in the lead. We've now caught up to our second card. So this is the first time we've seen them all day. And here's that name we've been just talking about, Greg Barsby, stuck up in the woods here on 16. It is a very, very difficult hole. You know, Greg's put in a position to just chip out, and he's hit just, I was thinking he was going to hit that tree in front of him, but he didn't. He held back his frustration. He hit just a few feet up ahead. But breaking that board down in a little bit more detail, one of the things that I'm kind of looking at is Chris Dickerson. This is kind of an interesting scenario. I mean, he started off with the double bogey right when we came on air. Oh, and there's Nate Sexton. Nate has not had a great day. He's fallen down the board a bit. He's just 1 under par for the day. But Chris has been able to sort of keep around the leaderboard. In fact, depending on how he plays these next 3 holes, I mean, we're talking about Chris being in the group tomorrow in the lead card. So, I mean, that kind of tells you at least Chris has been able to battle back in a way. He double bogeyed the first hole. He's birdied 2 holes, and he just birdied the last. Now, he's just 1 under par, which statistically is not a great round, but he's still near the lead, and at this point is still on the lead card. So anyways, we just see Martin Hendel there, a Canadian player. Martin's a great guy and a very, very consistent player. Happy to see Martin playing well.
And shooting pretty well today.
Yeah, he's in there, top 10. That's probably a name most people out there aren't used to seeing.
Yeah, he's at 2 under for today's round. Yep, 10 under overall. So playing pretty consistent golf there at Fox Run today. Seeing our side screen.
Barsby just chipped back out, so he's lying 3 in the middle of the fairway. Hasn't even gotten out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
So, you know, a long way to go here for Barsby. Now we see Lazat. Lazat is in second place, solo at the moment. Of course, we have no idea where that went. We don't have a camera out there, so unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see on our UDisc Live to see where that turned out.
I'm going to assume it's parked.
Yeah, right. We've gotten used to that. At any rate, it looks like Barsby will at least lose 1 stroke here, which would move Dickerson into a solo tie for or a solo position in third place. Chris Clemens, he sort of cooled off a little bit. He was up there. LeCastro has finished with a very solid round, 6 under par. Alex Russell finished with a solid round of 6 under par. Early on in the day, there's no way we would have even thought that we would have seen rounds like 5 and 6 under par being the really, really good scores. But that, to me, just goes to show you how good Wysocki's round was. Wysocki finished at 9 under par with a single bogey. At this point, the only person that looks like he's going to even come near that and probably eclipse it is McBeth. And Barsby's completely yanked this. You see he almost slipped. That is OB for Barsby. So Barsby is looking at best, a triple bogey at this point, as that was his 4th shot. Oof. So Barsby's going to definitely lose some strokes. And
not necessarily a hole that you would expect him to falter on. Now going into the final holes of this course and playing so well, that's got to be the most frustrating moment right now for him.
Yeah, and we have Madison Walker is we can see lined up with Alex Russell, and so let's head over and here in a minute and see what Alex has got for us after we see this shot from Lizotte. I'm assuming Lizotte went OB because he's marked it right at the edge of the OB.
I'm here with Alex Russell. He shot the second hottest round of the day in the clubhouse right now. He is currently tied for 5th place after shooting 6 down out at Fox Run. So how do you feel about today?
I feel great. I kept it much cleaner than I could have expected, and I had 1 bogey on hole 11. Other than that, got the first 3 to kind of get a hot start and give me a little boost into my round, and held on to that and picked up a few more birdies to finish at 6.
I heard that hole 2 was playing pretty rough today. Did you catch any of that headwind that was on hole 2?
I did, and I threw a sidearm pig that kind of got left side and got sneaky and ended up parking it, but went.
Wow, I've heard that hole was very challenging with a headwind. It's a super tight tunnel shot, so congratulations on that. What was your focus going in today, or do you like this type of course better than Brewster Ridge?
I feel like last year I was enjoying Fox Run more, and this year I'm enjoying Brewster Ridge. So they're really pretty even in my book. Mindset, these courses are very attackable, but there's a lot of breeze out there today, and I really just wanted to keep it in bounds and kind of take my medicine, take my pars. I played 7, 8, 9 for pars and got my drop-in 3s, or drop-in, I guess, 3, 4, and 5 for pars on each of them, and just kind of kept clicking along.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to today that was happy with their round played smart instead of hard. So congratulations on your round, and we will see you, I believe, on the chase card tomorrow for Brewster Ridge.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Not really. Thank you to family and friends back home supporting me, and Madison for being out here doing interviews.
Yeah, of course, and we'll throw it back to the booth. Thanks so much.
And thank you, Madison, for that. Yeah, and Alex did play just really clean golf. I was trying to find a player that had a bogey-free round out there today, and not anyone that I'm finding.
Yeah,
Tim Barham was the closest one.
Right.
But he bogeyed
18.
the very last hole.
I'm just seeing that. We've got now the last 2 groups on the same hole, but these guys are back on the tee pad. This is McBeth. Let's see how he attacks this. He kind of just went down immediately. But he's got it turned up, and he's got it back into the middle of the fairway. Boy, I don't know what happened there. It almost seemed like he slipped. It looked like it was just a little fluffy out of his hand, but at any rate, looks like he's going to be in good position. Coming on the air, I would have never thought that hearing that smarter, not harder kind of statement, sort of playing a little bit safer, especially through the open part of the course, would have been the narrative that we were talking about. But it really has been. Besides McBeth and besides Wysocki, 5-6 under is a darn good score, and that's something that we don't see a whole lot of in these bigger tournaments. Usually 8, 9, 10 under par.
let's take a break. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get back. And here we are back on 16's fairway. Just waiting another minute for the second card to clear off. And we saw Greg Barsby tap in a
Quadruple bogey.
Bogey.
Yeah, he took an 8. So all of a sudden, and we talked about it, 8 strokes different. Barsby just went from a tie for second all the way to a tie for 14th place. So unfortunately, that kind of in a lot of ways, especially with the Score McBeth app, sort of spells the end of potentially of Barsby's championship run here. And we see now Perkins trying to execute this shot, hitting, possibly staying in bounds. That there is the OB down there. Also, must be mentioned, Lizotte did take a bogey on 16, so he's dropped down to 12 under. So McBeth has now a 5-stroke lead, and he's sitting in the middle of the fairway here on 16, which is playing as one of the most difficult holes in the course. And as I said before going into break, I would have never thought that the narrative would have been 5 or 6 under is going to keep you in the tournament. But at this point, if you shot a 5 or 6, you're not doing too bad. In fact, Chris Dickerson just 1 under par. He's still tied for second.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
And as the round started, I mean, we saw so many players stringing up birdies and so much movement happen. It really slowed down toward that middle part of the course. And even for us, you feel like you're kind of just like slogging through. The holes start to get stretched out and things just slow down. Maybe players start adding up a OB here and a stroke there, and it doesn't seem like anybody's shooting very hot. So yeah, choosing to go for shots when you need to and knowing when to lay up also when you need to. So things did slow down in the middle of the pack, but still there's a lot of birdies on some of these scorecards. I mean, Paul McBeth is just lit up in birdies. Simon Lizotte, Nico LaCastro, these players are in the lead.
And now we see McBeth lining this shot up with that over. This is the disc he's been throwing on his sidearms. And he's just got it out the gap, and he's on the left side. Now nothing OB. Ooh, Rich keep getting richer. Hits the tall grass, kicks out into the short grass. He seems like he's going to have a fairly open stance here. None of this stuff on the left is OB. So he's nice and safe through that very overstable disc. And again, the one thing we have to mention to everybody at home is that the wind is blowing much more than we can tell. There's a stiff headwind that these players are throwing into right now. So that's why I think we saw McBeth make that decision to throw that really overstable disc.
And that's a good play. And error on the side of caution, that left-hand side, no out of bounds. So even if he did land in that tall grass, it'd be an easy pitch out and not giving up a stroke to the field. Speaking of pitch outs, we just saw Zach Melton laying up just a little bit there. Still got a little bit of work to do before we get all the players out in the clear.
Man, I mean, I'm floored by this leaderboard. It's crazy how it has started to thin out in all kinds of other ways. I mean, at this point, if we were to just freeze everything, Nico LaCastro would be in the lead card tomorrow. I mean, I think that tells you everything you need to know, because Nico was a guy that was sort of just chugging up the board and playing pretty well, and then had bogey and drop back down, but he finishes on a high note with a birdie, and there you go. So we'll see. I mean, Nate Perkins has an outside chance of getting back up in to the lead card if he's able to pick up a birdie or two towards the end here.
And speaking of Nico, it looks like Madison Walker was able to track him down, so it'll be interesting to hear a little insight onto how he think his round went today. Moved up pretty far up that leaderboard.
Yeah, up 18 positions today. We're going to go to Madison Walker.
Hi, we're out here with Nico LaCastro, who also shot a 6 down to put himself in a 4-way tie at the moment at 11 down. We wanted to hear what he had to say. How do you feel about your round today?
I'm feeling very good about my game right now. As far as the round goes, I was playing well. I just ran into 2 or 3 holes that I misjudged some distances and didn't execute exactly how I wanted. But overall, I feel like I have a really good consistency in my game right now. And going into tomorrow, I'm just going to try to adjust from mistakes made in the first round and hopefully make a run towards the lead.
Did the wind affect your game at all, or was it completely unrelated?
You know, I'm just feeling really good in Vermont. Honestly, I feel like each day that I spend here, I get more comfortable here. I love the 2 courses. I love the feeling of being in Vermont, first off, but it's just I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling good about my game, and I'm gonna try to forget about some of the mistakes I made and just try to execute for the next 2 rounds.
Yep, and hopefully tomorrow it'll be a little bit less windy. We are heading back over to Brewster Ridge, which is a lot more thickly wooded. Are you excited about a little bit more of a technical shot selection?
I'm excited to play better than I did the first round. That's the goal.
Simple enough. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I'm going to throw it back to the booth.
Thank you guys.
Thank
and
you,
girls.
Nice.
That's always fun to hear. I mean, we see so many of the players, on the course, executing the shots, but it's not too often that we get a lot of these player interviews. And so thank you for Madison for being out there and snagging these players down and hearing a glimpse on, how they attacked the course, how they executed the shots and their shot preferences,
Right.
whether they like technical or the wide open of Fox Run.
Yeah, I mean, being in that position, I always love talking about what happened on the day. Hearing from Nico that, he's feeling solid about his game. I mean, that's something that could be very dangerous. If Nico LaCastro gets a little bit of confidence here, I mean, he can start zooming off and really taking off, because if the putts start falling for a guy like that, it's like bang, 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 bang. Here we go. Also, Nico is one of the most competitive people you will ever meet. I mean, he'd have a squirrel. He'd have a contest with us, or a sprint contest with a squirrel if the squirrel challenged him. And I think that's kind of the thing. He's just always ready there to take advantage of any opportunity, and you can hear him. I mean, he wants to win this tournament. He's looking to move up and catch that lead, but we'll see if McBeth's even going to allow anybody to do that.
And a strong personality to have in a group. When you get a player like that in your group, it can change the tension. It can set the mood. And especially, you mentioned putts. If he gets on fire, he can really set the mood and set the tempo. I'm looking at his UDIS stats right now, and for the weekend, for today's round, 100% circle 1 putting.
Mm-hmm.
So on point in the circle, and 88% circle 2 putting.
Wow.
That's a high stat. He was able to capitalize on 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 7.
7 circle 2 putts.
And that's what I'm talking about. If he starts putting, this can be an exponential thing for a guy like Nico, and a low round, a 12, 13 tomorrow, possibly, McBeth shoots a 6 or 7 or 8. Who knows? I mean, anything's possible. But look at this. Are you kidding? Just roll it.
You gotta roll the Zuka
Just
replay.
roll it.
As
Come
pure
on.
of a putt as it can get. Making that look like a 2-footer for me.
Just roll it. Oh, impressive stuff. Nice job,
That was
Paul. That was amazing.
incredible. Putting him at 9 under right now for the round. 2 holes to go. Just absolutely shredding it. And I'm sure, even though he's hitting big putts, he's just puring drives, he's going to be thinking about hole 8 and 9.
There's no doubt. I mean, I guarantee that in the post-round interview, he mentions it, because we saw how frustrated he was at that moment. He threw OB. I mean, if I was interviewing him, I'd say, well, what happened on the tee shot on 8? How could you flare one out there OB and put yourself behind the 8 ball? And I'm sure he'd have an answer for it. I mean, there's no doubt that this is in his mind, and he's able to tune it out and continue chugging along and making birdies.
And a lot of birdies he has made.
He's tied for the hot round right now, and he still has 2 holes to play. 17 is very, very gettable. They got a good win today for 17. 18 can be a little bit more difficult, but it's still a possible birdie for McBeth. So let's take a look at that 17th hole. 400 feet. Just a big hyzer. It's a big spike hyzer. The big thing the players have to worry about, that OB on the back side of the fairway, on the right side from this angle. If you play it too low, basically, because you're throwing it 400 feet, you play it too low, you're going to go too straight, and you're going to be OB. So it's all about picking that height and just putting it on a nice hyzer line and sticking it down there in that thick grass and making the putt. I like the addition of the elevated basket here. Brings in a little bit more of an element on this one, that if you're putting downhill at it, it's sloping downhill away from it. So it just brings in that little bit of an extra element.
What a beautiful view it is.
God, it is so pretty.
We know in just about a month from now, those mountains are going to be on fire with the leaves changing yellow, orange, red. It's one of the most beautiful places. If you've ever seen pictures taken in the fall here on these courses, it's just breathtaking. You won't see too many other courses lit up just like this. Here we go. See if Paul's able to pick that line in the sky.
I don't like that height, but is it stable enough? Nope. That's OB. And I could tell as soon as he let that go, the height was just way too low and too much forward penetration. Exactly. I mean, he just penetrated that fairway a little bit too much. Now, he went OB way down by the basket, so he's going to have a par putt, but still, height immediately was the problem.
Yeah, as much as it seems like it's a basic hyzer shot, there is a lot that comes into play.
I mean, it is a basic hyzer shot. I think any one of these players coming off the course, hey, what's hole 17 about? Well, it's a hyzer. It's a bit, look at that. I mean, that's an absolute park job for Chris Dickerson. And this is a chance for Chris to get a stroke back. I mean, this guy's in second place. So let's not discount what he's been able to do, kind of stick with it, not let it get away from him. And so, good for Chris. He's going to have a tap-in birdie here on 17. McBeth's going to have a circle edge putt for par. We'll see. Look at this. Zach Melton is going to go with the spike hyzer way over OB. He's going over the 18th tee pad, which is just down to his left.
The cameramen are getting situated because we have not seen anybody throwing this shot just yet. With that right Nice angle, great
Oh,
height.
look at that.
Perfect
Nice.
execution from
Yeah.
Zach. Beautiful shots from our group. We're going to take a commercial break and catch up with them on the green.
You know, the Mach 7's a really great disc golf basket, but you know, it also makes a really good step stool. You know, say you got something up high, you need to reach. Oh, God.
Welcome back. As we come back, Nate Perkins has already pitched up. He stepped up real quick and just pitched up under the basket there, so he'll have a tap-in par. The big question is, where did McBeth go out of bounds, and where will his mark be at this point? I think that's going to be the hot topic of conversation. Let's listen in.
I was up by the white snake and he almost hit me and I jumped out of the way and it's just like
You're saying that it was just hard to get right there. Yeah. Worst case
Yeah, so the question really was there, Val. McBeth was saying he was surprised that he would have stayed in between the wall and the line that far because he's about 30 feet from his disc. So it does seem strange, but I mean, this isn't a bad lie, but I think he wants the correct lie. So that's something for everybody at home to really think about, finding the correct location and getting the correct lie.
What a beautiful scene right here.
Look at those.
Little bit of headwind. And
roll it.
Yep.
Just roll it.
Incredible save here.
This is comical. Look at this. Boom. It's amazing, his skill around the basket.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, just the power. There's not a whole lot of movement, but the power that he has behind his putts are just incredible.
They really are.
I mean, without having to put that extra oomph, without having to do a jump putt, he just has so much pop and such good accuracy.
That's amazing. What a save for Paul McBeth. And Dickerson's going to still pick up a stroke. As we know, Chris is parked. And boy, for a good putter like Zach to have a day like today, it's more frustrating than anything. You know, some guys that just aren't great putters, as we see Mount Mansfield back there, which is just one of the highest points in Vermont, just beautiful. But, you know, if you're not a great putter, yeah, you had a so-so day around the basket, but Zach's a good putter. I mean, he's a solid putter. He's missed a lot of makeable putts, and he's just missed another one. Birdie to bogey for Zach Melton. Man, frustrating.
Wow. And just with one hole left, that's not what Zach needed to finish the day. A nice putt there out of Nate Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. The tap in birdie for Chris Dickerson. Only player to walk away with a birdie on this hole.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, it's
simple Heiser,
yeah,
you
right.
say.
It's not so simple, I guess. And let's take a look at this 18th hole, 775 feet. One of the best finishing holes, really, in my opinion, of almost the entire year. You got to throw a nice controlled drive right down here in the middle. Then you got a controlled sidearm or a very tough backhand turnover. All kinds of danger. OB surrounds it left, right, behind, the whole 9 yards. It's a good selfie place. Take a picture or two. But you're right. It's just one of those things coming down the stretch. We have a very, very difficult hole, and the champion's got to get through without going out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. And it just sets up for one of those most extreme holes, and it really puts the pressure on to finish. Even if you have a little bit of a buffer, there's so much out of bounds that comes into play. But we've got Madison with Simon Lizotte down at the Tournament Central, so we're going to catch up.
Come on, Simon.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Simon Lizotte after his round. He is currently tied for, I should know this already, he is currently tied for second after shooting 5 down. Yes. With Chris Dickerson, he's also tied for second with 1 hole left to play. Simon, how do you feel about the round today?
It was good. You know, I birdied the first 6 holes right off the gate, and I was like, okay, now the hole 7, 8, 9 is like the holes where you really want to just come out with par and be happy. So that was really my goal. But then I fell into this trying to lay up to safety, and then I threw OB trying to lay up, and then I caught a bogey and a double bogey. Still hung in there kind of, but finished at 5 down. So all in all, I guess for these conditions, it was quite breezy out there, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, did it stay pretty windy during y'all's entire round? It got calm there for a minute earlier this afternoon, but...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the holes are nicely protected from the trees. You're not in the trees, but it's like a nice wall of trees. But once you get out up here, 16, 17, 18, it was pretty strong wind, and unpredictable.
So you felt like your round went better when you weren't laying up and trying to play safely?
That's a life lesson for everyone out there. Never lay up, because laying up and going OB is the worst feeling ever.
Literally the worst. So are you going to carry that same mentality into Brewster Ridge tomorrow? I know it's a lot more technical and you could be still aggressive out there. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that course is completely different, super wooded. There's not many options of lines you can throw. It's pretty straightforward. So if I can play another 8 down like I did round 1, I think I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Just keep making my putts.
Yeah. Go big or go home. Thank you, Simon, for hanging out with us. Anything else you want to say?
I love you.
All the love out here. Back to you guys in the booth.
Oh, McBeth has made I think he's made a mistake here. McBeth's thrown it out of bounds on this 18th hole. I just can't tell what the spotter said, but he went for the big shot. Now, if it's go big or go home, does that mean Simon never goes home? I mean, he's always going big.
Always going big. Always choosing the shot that's outside of the box just to impress us all. And
Perkins.
wow, down to his knees immediately.
Yeah.
With not even a chance of it coming back in bounds. He's going to be very short on his second shot.
So Val, hole 18 playing the most difficult today. 1.25 over par. Not surprising, especially after what we just heard Lizotte say. When you get out on these holes, it's windy. There's more wind than we can really tell here. You got to look at the flanners. I mean, they're whipping. And so it's nice to hear from our players exactly what's going on. So we're not going to go to a commercial. We know McBeth. McBeth is going to re-tee. He's actually going to just play from the tee instead of taking what would have only been just 30, 40 feet off the tee. Uh-oh.
No way.
All right, folks. Okay, this is something that we're not normally used to seeing. Yeah, McBeth is going to start, and now he's actually going to take the the distance. So,
and with them changing up this hole just a little bit, bringing that OB line on the left just tight in. I mean, once you throw out of bounds and you never cross back in, I mean, you're basically re-teeing.
Right. Right. So now Perkins has taken his mark. This is now Perkins' third shot as he's taken one penalty. He's put it back in bounds. I believe it's going to be tough to tell. I mean, you just saw McBeth throw his mini. He's pissed. There's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt that he is. Because now he's not throwing 3, he's throwing 5 at this point. 6 down the middle, 7 up to the green. I mean, we're looking at an 8 at best here.
And also, you've got to mention throwing his third in line driver from basically the same position.
All right, we may not get that interview we want. Let's see what McBeth's got for us here. This is his 5th shot, and that's a beautiful shot. He's put himself past that tree, which means he's going to have a chip up. Let's take our final break of the afternoon, and we'll see you back in just 30 seconds.
Join us Saturday, September 14th for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. Vermont-based jazz fusion outfit Brick Drop gets the action started. Headliner Zach Nugent presents Fire on the Mountain. Special 2-day pricing is available now through September 8th. For more information, visit us at smuggs.com/fallfest.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
Join us Saturday, September 14th for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. Vermont-based jazz fusion outfit Brick Drop gets the action started. Headliner Zach Nugent presents Fire on the Mountain. Special 2-day pricing is available now through September 8th. For more information, visit us at smuggs.com/fallfest.
And here we are back on hole 18. And my, how the tides have turned. Paul McBeth sitting 5 throws.
Yeah, at best, unless he throws
in the middle of the fairway.
Which, I mean, it's not out of the question for this guy. We're talking triple bogey. I mean, if Dickerson's able to get up and in for his birdie, we're talking just a 1-stroke lead for McBeth. The guy's sitting on a 5-stroke lead right now. It's an incredible scenario that we don't see often, but in a way, it's the genius of this 18th hole. Playing the most difficult. This is certainly going to make it the most difficult now. And it's amazing to see that you can never take your mind off what's happening. I think even with the greatest player in the world.
When you have a shot that just sets up like that, where you're throwing out and immediately out and over the out of bounds the entire way and it never crosses back in, then you have to do that shot again. I mean, it sets up for big numbers like that. And clearly, even the best players in the world can happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, and Dickerson able to really get that in tight. By the way, thinking back about the whole overview, looking at the way Dickerson just played it, I mean, he played it on the far right side, which is much more dangerous, but then able to play a straight backhand in a very windy condition. You can see all those flags moving. So Chris able to execute this hole very well to this point. So good for Chris. Chris is not giving up. I mean, the guy's in second place. And really, McBeth just brought in a whole lot of people. By the way, must be mentioned, Greg Barsby, after his quad, finished birdie. He finished at 3 under par. He's 10 down. And McBeth is going to come back to probably 15 at this point. So there's a lot more people that are in this tournament now.
And the door has opened up. Unfortunately, it's because the one player allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Wow, you can really see those flanners blowing, nearly just bending in half. The wind is blowing so intense. And that could be also really tough to read when these players were throwing their drives. A swirly wind in the valleys here. But my, oh my, what a way to end this round today here at Fox Run Meadows, Smuggler's Notch Resort.
Now, granted, I mean, had Paul not done this, had he just parred, he would have tied Ricky for the hot round of the day. But that's not the case anymore. Can we say that Ricky Wysocki has shot a 9 under par today with a bogey, is going to be 3 strokes in front of the hot round? I mean, he's 3 strokes better than the second hottest round. That's an incredible round by Rick. And he's been sitting in the clubhouse, relaxing, getting, recharging for tomorrow for now multiple hours at this point. So good thing for Ricky Wysocki too. He's sitting in the, probably in his hotel room by now, all showered up, just chilling, waiting for Fall Fest.
Yeah, and it is the funny thing when you're doing the interviews with these players, they don't know where they're sitting, and it's still, we're halfway through the tournament at this point. So they're surprised when they hear what place they're in and how well they did today as they just hand in their scorecards. There we go. Paul McBeth tapping in his 7 here on hole 8. Triple bogey.
Yeah, there you go. And a tap in birdie for Chris Dickerson. So Dickerson moves to 14. McBeth's going to drop back down to 15. And all of a sudden, there's just a 1-stroke difference. Can you imagine that scenario? I couldn't. At this point, I would have not have expected that at all. And there's Melton that just finished up as well. But, we'll come back to the booth here and just, I think we're just trying to react and sort of put the pieces all back together.
Yeah, there was a moment there. He's lining up for a putt. Yep, roll that Zuka replay. And then all of a sudden, the game of golf happens and error topped on another error. It's just what happens. It's why it leaves us speechless, because you can't expect what's going to happen on the next shot. Right. Even though we kind of were with those putts. Still an incredible round. Paul McBeth maintains that first place right now. Just 1 stroke, really close that gap on that last hole.
Yeah, let's look at it there. There's the top 10. We've got really Paul McBeth, the lead dog here, 6 under par. He's still tied for the second hottest round of the day. Chris Dickerson, 14 under. Simon Lizotte, 13 under. Nico. And look at the slew of people at 11. Right. Look at Nate Sexton jumping back in there, finishing strong. When we checked in with him, he was just 1 under. He finishes with 2 birdies. So Sexton finishing strong. But the name on that list that jumps out at me the most is Ricky Wysocki. He's 9 under par. Minus 2 years ago when we went down to the wire, this guy's won every event that's been called a Green Mountain Championship on this property. He obviously didn't win Worlds last year, and he shot the hot round by 3. So to me, again, it tells you everything you need to know that this guy's lurking. Now, Ricky still has to come out tomorrow and execute a really, really hot round. And, those are the names I'm looking at. But any one of these guys have an opportunity, and I think we've got McBeth lined up.
Yeah, let's throw it out to AJ on the course. He's got Paul McBeth all lined up. Let's hear his reaction.
I want to hear this.
All right, everybody, I'm here with Paul McBeth after the second round of the Green Mountain Championship. Paul, a little windy out there, but you're still in the lead. Hole 18 always proves to be difficult for just about anybody. What was your game plan going into that one with all this wind and everything?
Well, it was the wrong game plan. I was thinking laying up, and that was the issue. Is I tried to lay up twice, and that happened to be my bogey and my triple bogey when I should have just played it aggressive. Unfortunately, the way this hole is designed, the aggressive plays, throw it into the crowd, throw it into the parking lot. I think I should have just stuck with that and taken it all the way down there, and kind of just backfired trying to play the short layup.
Gotcha. Well, you took a couple bogeys earlier in the round, but you answered with 5 birdies. I saw you munching on some kind of granola bar there. The fans at home want to know, was that a Cliff Bar, Power Bar? What do you got?
I think it was a Cliff Bar. I just picked up at the local market.
Cool. Now, it seemed like the group was a little bit laid back. I mean, lead card, there's a lot of wind and a bit of nerves. How did you feel about playing with Zach Melton, Chris Dickerson, Nate Perkins?
Playing with those guys is awesome. I mean, like you said, though, there wasn't many people out watching our card. I think there was at most 30, so it was kind of weird. We were playing, I thought, pretty well, so it was just quiet. And it was kind of a weird feeling, especially last year having the World Championships here and then kind of showing up and only having 30 people watch was quiet, I'll go with.
Yeah, a little out of place. Hopefully on Sunday we get 300 people. So tomorrow we're going to move across the dirt road here to Brewster Ridge. You played pretty well out there yesterday. Can you give me one thing that went well that you're going to try to do again, and then something that you'd like to improve on?
Putting's definitely been the solid point so far for the 2 rounds, so that just means throw cleaner drives. I think I just made too many mistakes off the tee yesterday, so clean that up and hopefully come in with a little bit better than a 9.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for the interview. Get a nice good night's sleep rest, or maybe see you at Fall Fest.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And thank you, AJ, for being out there.
I laugh every time.
He's such a character.
Yeah.
I mean, even in a serious moment, Paul McBeth is probably wanting just to get in his car and take off right now after that finish. And AJ brings the light to it.
Sure.
We have Paul McBeth still in the lead. It was great for Paul to take that moment and just fill us in. And so what do you got to say? Reactions on that interview?
Well, not surprised at all. Obviously, you heard, to me, as soon as I heard him say it, I snapped, I pointed at you. I was on it. The moment that you think I'm playing safe, this is going against your game plan now, right? Lizotte said it. He tried to play safe on 7, 8, 9. He made bogeys. He made mistakes. McBeth just did the same thing. So clearly it sounds like he misplayed 8 where he was trying to lay up the tee shot of 8. He now misplayed 18 where, he was trying to play safe on 18. So I think to me that tells me everything. It'll be interesting to see where we come back around on Sunday, the championship round, to see how they make that adjustment. Because other than that, I mean, McBeth really played probably what would have been a course record-setting round had he not made some of those mistakes. Of course, hindsight's always 20/20, but really that kind of tells me everything I need to know. It also tells me that he's ready to go. He's still locked in. He's still fired up. This is going to keep those juices flowing. He doesn't have a big lead anymore. It's a little bit tighter, which McBeth loves. He loves to be in that position. So also, your local market. The guy still shops at the local market. I mean,
I think everything's local in Vermont.
Right. So big day. Looking forward to tomorrow and really just look. This is one of the absolute favorite championships of me personally. I know you love it and all the fans out there too. So this one's not going to quit until the very last putt's dropped.
Exactly. And like you said, Paul McBeth loves pressure. And we know he can hit those pressure putts even with the heaviest of pressure. So tomorrow's round is going to be exciting. So we hope you guys join us. Got to give a huge thank you to AJ Risley and Madison Walker for being out there, being our eyes and ears on the course and giving us those great interviews. Got to thank all our cameramen and, of course, have to thank everyone who's been watching the live coverage. We've got 2 more days of this. Basically, we're halfway through. We're going to see Brewster's Ridge tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern with the FPO lead card. And then again in the afternoon, 2:30 Eastern with the men's lead card. It's a mouthful. It's been a day. we're happy to bring you this live coverage. So thank you again for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.